It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Jeff and Paris are here with lots to talk about. Of course, DeepSeek, that new AI from China, is all the rage. We'll talk about what it really means. We'll even play with it a little bit. I like the reasoning. Google has changed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Apple hasn't so far. And then we'll play 17th century death roulette. Yes, it's a wacky show coming up next on This Week in Google.
Podcasts you love
from people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Twig. This Week in Google, episode 804, recorded Wednesday, January 29th, 2025. Big potato. It's time for Twig This Week in Google. For the last time, This Week in Google, the show we cover everything but Google for the last time. Just to reassure people, we're changing the name. We're changing the music. We are not whistling the theme. We have Benito's doing a nice new theme for us. No more recorders. And we are going to
for one last time, play the recording music now.
They just heard it.
Know,
they just heard it.
It only goes on in post, yeah, and they just heard it.
They just heard it.
Okay, all right.
Just because you didn't hear it, they just heard it. The only reason we got away with it for 15 years is
what
because
you just heard. If you're listening to this, scrub back 45 seconds, listen to it again, and savor
That's
it.
Paris Martineau. She works for The Information, theinformation.com, and of course, you could see her stuff in the weekend edition, and she's a marvelous person with, it looks like purple hair, but that's just a purple light.
It's true.
Is that a grow light or something?
No, it's a like a tube light sort of thing from some fancy light store I got.
Is it to affect your psyche, or is it?
I guess it's just vibes based. It has nothing to do with plants.
Okay,
It's a vibe
It just
thing.
looks kind of fun.
Vibes thing.
It's a vibe thing. You grandpas just wouldn't understand. The other, oh, look, she can hold it like a lightsaber.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
She is our Princess Leia, isn't she?
That's true.
That's true.
I take the space buns down for the podcast so I can fit in the frame.
Jeff Jarvis is our Yoda. He is emeritus professor of journalistic innovation at the Craig Newmark
Professor of journalism of
journalism, of which he is the professor at the City University, New York, emeritus, now at Montclair State University and SUNY Stony Brook. When do your classes start?
I'm not sure. I'm going to be teaching soon. At the earliest fall.
Okay.
Yep.
That's cool.
I have a course on the books at Stony Brook in AI and creativity. But
nice. Did you apply for a South by Southwest panel or anything?
No, I stopped going long ago.
Yeah, me too.
It pissed me off one year.
It's a party. Do you go?
Well, no, it's marketing. It's marketers and Germans now. The Germans I like. The marketers I'm not so crazy about.
There's a lot of Germans at South by in Austin.
They love it. They love it. They used to. I don't know if they still do. Lufthansa had a special flight.
That would be a fun flight.
Yeah,
that would be a very
flight.
Yeah,
that'd be a party.
Hip Germans. Germans at SXSW. Let's see. They have a German house there.
Oh, house as they call it.
Yes. Yeah. So here. Okay. Wait a second. German house. It's a Twitter account. I'll put it in the. Discord.
I will mention that today I am wearing multiple AI devices. I still have
the shirt. The shirt itself is an AI device,
and the shirt it's a test to see if you can see all the colors. And I'm wearing this, and I'm trying to get the founders of the Bee computer on the show to talk about that. That is always on, always recording. We've talked about it before. Does kind of interesting summaries of your day. Now, I got yesterday the Plod note. This is something that you can see on every other TikTok. Apparently, very popular in the TikTok shop. They make a little square thing that goes in the back of your phone. This one is just a little lapel pin.
Boy, do they advertise it on TikTok.
It's great, like crazy. That's why I didn't buy it for a long time. But it's actually really good. So I tested it. I recorded. Now, this one, unlike the Bee, you have to explicitly press a button and start recording.
Okay.
But I used it for Richard Campbell, before on Windows Weekly at the end of the show, he does a little whiskey segment. It did an amazing.
Not so little.
Not so little. It did an amazing summary, mind map, and everything of Richard's whiskey segment that really impressed me. So this is designed for recording, like you might use this at a lecture, college lecture. That's where they're really
Nerd
pushing.
question: how could it hear it if you had your earphones on?
I turned off my mic. Yeah, that's the problem with both of these devices. Is when I'm doing a show, it would only hear my side; it won't hear your side. So I turned off my mic and I let Richard talk for the whole segment and recorded it. And it made a mind map, and it was quite impressive. I was kind of blown away by it. It's using Claude. Here's the difference. I don't know what AI the Bee is using. They don't say, and you can apply for an upgrade to a better AI. I suspect then it would use maybe Chat GPT, but this uses Claude, Sonnet, or O1, and does a really, really remarkable job. So, my dream of having an AI assistant always listening to everything I do is getting closer and closer.
That's sad. That's his dream. That's so sad.
I'm a simple man
Oh boy.
with simple dreams. I guess I could show you. Let me pull down this so you don't see that. I guess I can load up the Plod notes. So this is the summary of the whiskey thing. It was quite good. I mean, it's lecture, Blair told it got the weird, most, not all of the weird Gaelic spellings correct. Did a great job in the takeaways. You can also see it as a mind map, which is kind of wild.
Are people mind mapping still?
Maybe not people, but AIs are.
People have stopped mind mapping, but the AIs have taken
the
it
AIs
over.
know how to do it. You can have different templates for your summaries. This is the transcript. It's probably using Whisper AI for the transcript. I'm impressed. Now, it's no DeepSeek. Have you all played with DeepSeek? This is the new Chinese model that everybody's talking about.
I want to take some credit here. I want to take a little credit.
Please do.
That on both this show and AI Inside, I was talking about DeepSeek in the first week of January, before the world went crazy, because Benedict Evans said at the end of December, he said, boy, DeepSeek snuck in at the end of the year with the biggest AI story of the year. He knew.
He was right.
He was right.
And in fact, it tanked NVIDIA and many of the other AI stocks. And then, of course, OpenAI, the latest is OpenAI and Microsoft are miffed because it turns out DeepSeek used, they say, maybe plagiarized OpenAI.
A little ironic since the New York Times is suing OpenAI and Microsoft over supposedly plagiarizing them, which I even defend them on.
It's only okay when Americans do it, guys.
Not the Chinese.
I think that there's a couple of things that are probably important to point out. One, that the story of DeepSeek comes from China and may be oversold. They have a real interest in destabilizing our stock market and our AI development. So they said, it only costs $6 million to train it. That's probably, misinformation, if not disinformation. It is also the case, it seems to be, OpenAI says that they used OpenAI for distillation, which means once DeepSeek's LLM was built, they trained it by asking OpenAI questions, having a dialogue with OpenAI back and forth. Of course, it could do that very fast, and it made it smarter. It is a reasoning. R1 is a reasoning AI, and I have to. So I was pretty impressed. I asked it a couple of kind of general questions that one might ask an AI, and it did I thought a very good job. I like the reasoning models because they talk with you while they're thinking. It's almost like a real.
Here's my question.
Yeah,
is that really a window on reasoning, or is it instead a performative effort to show us what reasoning would look like? In other words, is it?
Of course, we'll never know.
We'll never know. Right.
But it's my guess. I mean, that's the way that these things work. It's an iterative process, right? These reasoning models are iterative in the sense that they have multiple experts, if you will. Imagine that, multiple experts, and they interact with one another. And so what you're seeing in the reasoning models take time. For instance, when I asked DeepSeek about, I said, how does quantum computing work? Something I still don't really know. It took 43 seconds for it to finally give me an answer. But as it's going, I got to watch in the conversation to kind of see what was going on. So otherwise you'd be sitting there and you'd just be sitting there. Right.
So it's kind of like the
like
hole in the washing machine where you get to see what's going on inside.
Yeah.
So it feels more exciting.
Thinking. You want me to read? So this is kind of how the conversation went. I said, how do quantum computers work? And first thing it says, okay, so I need to explain how quantum computers work. Where do I start?
Yeah.
Now, by the way, that's human tuning, right?
Right.
I remember from my classes. Well, it makes it more appealing.
I remember from my classes.
I remember from my classes that regular computers use bits, which are zeros and one. Quantum computers use something called qubits instead. But what's a qubit exactly? Wait, I think qubits can be both 0 and 1 at the same time because of superposition. That's a quantum mechanics concept, right? Superposition allows qubits to exist in multiple states simultaneously. But how do they actually perform computations? I remember something about quantum gates and on and on and on. At the end of it, though, and there's quite a few paragraphs of dialogue with itself. I mean, at the end of it, it gives me its answer, which is very nicely structured in bullet point form, and then a summary, which is just a paragraph that's also, I think, very good. Conclusion: quantum computers harness superposition and entanglement to solve problems intractable for classical systems. While challenges like decoherence persist, advancements in qubit quality, error correction, and algorithms may unlock transformative applications in cryptography, materials science, and AI. That's good. That's a good answer.
Well, but here's the other interesting thing, Paris, is that whole, I'm just thinking, what about this? What about that part? You can't cut and paste that text. Only at the end, it gives you its final answer. Then you can cut and paste that text.
So I asked it something I knew something about, as opposed to quantum computing. How do I make focaccia bread?
We should ask a Cacio Pepe, actually.
By the way, it answered the quantum question in 43 seconds. It took 99 seconds to figure out how to make focaccia. Okay.
Focaccia, the final frontier.
I want to make focaccia, but I'm not really sure how. Let me think about what I know. Focaccia is a type of Italian bread, right? It's kind of flat, usually has olive oil, herbs on top, maybe rosemary. I've seen it with big dimples on the surface. I remember, I mean, this anthropomorphization is wild. I remember that bread usually requires flour, water, yeast, and salt, but focaccia might have olive oil too, though. Anyway, it does come up with a correct focaccia answer, but it takes a while.
But see, that's all back and forth. Yeah, it's taking what is an easy answer and then saying, I've got to create this structure where it looks like I'm thinking about it.
Let me.
I don't believe that it's showing reasoning. The other thing, Paris, is you can have a choice. You can either do the reasoning or you can do a search. So you can do a search of the current web.
Do you remember last week's show?
And what is DeepSeek doing in that case? It's just using Google?
I don't know what crawl it uses.
That's a good question. This is why there's a lot of question marks, like how much it really cost, et cetera, et cetera. Anthony asked it to do last week's show notes. All right, I need to create show notes for the episode this week in Google based on the provided transcript. Let's start by reading through the transcript to identify the main topics and key points. And it is actually, Anthony says it's doing a better job than the current AI we use for show notes.
Really?
I think it's Claude. Look, there's no question this is impressive.
Right? Yes, it is.
We don't know really how much it cost. The story is the guy made a lot of money as a hedge fund billionaire using AI to predict the market swings. then took some of that money, bought, I think they said $500,000 worth of H100Ss, which are actually, he bought some NVIDIA cards before the embargo and then bought more after the embargo. But the thing that's interesting is that because of the embargo, the CHIPS Act, not the CHIPS Act, but the U.S. government embargo on high quality chips to China, they had to use a lower quality chip that was missing a key interconnect in NVIDIA's CUDA cores so that multiple GPUs could work together. So
I'm sorry, NVIDIA's what cores?
CUDA
this is going to be my new role in the show. Is going to be, I'm just going to ask what every time I don't understand what you're talking about.
And what the hell? The CUDA is a language that that you can use to control the GPUs, the NVIDIA GPUs. And since they didn't have access to that, they decided to write low-level kind of machine code doing the same thing. So the Chinese media outlet 36KR, this is from MIT Technology Review, says that they estimate about 10,000 NVIDIA GPUs. The founder of an AI research consultancy, Semi-Analysis, says, no, it's going to be more like 50,000. So he stockpiled a lot of them, but he also did some low-level coding in order for it to work as well as the GPUs you could buy in the U.S. In addition to the challenge Chinese companies face on top of chip sanctions, their AI engineering techniques tend to be less efficient. This is an interview with a Chinese media outlet from July of last year. Quote, this is Liang, the hedge fund guy that funded this. We, Chinese companies, have to consume twice the computing power to achieve the same results. Combined with data efficiency gaps, this could mean needing up to 4 times the computing power. But our goal is to continuously close these gaps. So the thing that scared the stock market is, oh my God, maybe they figure out a way to do this with fewer NVIDIA cards. So NVIDIA's stock tanked. Maybe they figure out a way to do this more efficiently and less expensively than OpenAI, Anthropic, Microsoft, et cetera, et cetera. So those stocks tanked. But we don't know.
They did it with Meta open source material.
They said they used Llama too.
Benefits their strategy.
Yeah.
The stock went down. I was keeping track. Stock went down 17%, which is like the biggest drop in whatever.
Did it recover them?
It went up 8% the next day, mainly according to stories from retail investors who said, I heard you have to buy on the dip. That's a dip.
It's time to buy. Well,
and then it went back down 4% today.
To point out, this Anthony Nielsen said this is probably profit taking, which was kind of long overdue with NVIDIA, and it's still at a much higher level than it was 6 months ago.
And I still think it's going to go up.
And this is an interesting side note from I've been reading. I'm sure you have too. Every possible analysis of this, because everybody has a different take. Ben Thompson did an excellent take on stratechery. Steven Sinofsky, the former Microsoft executive, guy who was in charge of Windows 8, much to his chagrin, tweeted that it's Jevons paradox. He said, you don't really need to know much about this to understand Jevons paradox. Jevon was a 19th century British economist who said that technological advances that make a resource more efficient also stimulate demand. And so as a result, ultimately, that efficiency means you use even more. He observed it in 1865 with coal. He said technological improvements that increased the efficiency of coal led to the increased consumption of coal in a wide range of industries. Contrary to intuition, technological progress cannot be relied upon to reduce fuel consumption. We've seen this in California. I've mentioned this because our local energy company has had 6 price increases in the past year because we're using less electricity. We've become more efficient, and so they have to charge us more because the cost of their physical plants has not gone down. So I don't think it necessarily, Sinofsky says, it does not necessarily follow that this improvement in efficiency is going to cost everybody less, or it's just going to mean we're going to use more AI. It's fascinating.
In my
But
history
why are we
of-
going to use more AI?
Because it's
What is
cheaper to
using
use.
more
It's cheaper.
AI? But what is using more AI bringing to us? This week, I've been personally very irritated, as has everyone in my newsroom, by Google changing both Google Docs and Gmail to just automatically have Gemini involved in it. And there's no way to opt out.
Oh,
and it's
and
incredibly
Microsoft did the
frustrating.
same thing. No,
It's Clippy-esque. Have we
Yeah.
learned nothing?
Microsoft raised the cost of its consumer Microsoft 365 at the same time as it added Copilot, its AI, into it, and people are furious.
I mean, I just don't understand
they don't
this
want
whole
it.
argument. People don't want these services for a lot of the reasons that these companies are pushing them on us. Why is the default assumption that we're all going to be using
Stock
increasingly
market.
more AI forever? Okay, stock market this, stock market that.
They're trying to,
Does-
but they're not selling to you. They're selling to.
No, I'm saying,
business.
but are these companies, do you think, are going to have infinitely increasing returns if it turns out people don't want to use their products? Right now, we're in a hype cycle where all these companies are admitting, hey, we don't have like a business model worked out yet. How long do you think they have to work at a business model?
Good question. Good question.
Well, look, first of all, there's plenty of money flowing in, and the reason is investors, not just retail investors in the stock market, but VCs understand that, yeah, they're risking that. It's a risk. Every investment they make is a risk, but the upside could be phenomenal. That if they do, in fact, create an AGI, Mark Zuckerberg has said, it's fascinating, he thinks that they're going to have an AI engineer writing code soon. This will be a defining year for AI, he wrote. This was January 24th. In 2025, I expect Meta AI will be the leading assistant serving more than 1 billion people. Llama 4 will become the leading state-of-the-art model. And we will build an AI engineer that will start contributing increasing amounts of code to our R&D efforts. And to power this, they're building a 2 gigawatt plus data center. This is the data center footprint superimposed over somewhere, Paris, Manhattan. Oh, I mean, it's huge. It's bigger than Central
That is
Park.
quite large.
It goes all the way from the top of Central Park down to the Hudson Yards.
But based on DeepSeek, is that even necessary? Is what's the stupid thing we talked about last week that they announced for $500 billion? Stargate. Are those things
Just as we-
necessary at that scale?
Well, that's, of
Yes.
course, that's the question everybody's asking. But yes, my answer is Jevons paradox. This will just increase demand, and that same center will do even more. And if it's smarter and smarter and smarter, look, if you can replace an engineer that costs $200,000 a year with an AI that costs $10,000 a year or whatever it costs, if it's less than $200,000, that's a big net gain, and you make more, and then you'll be making more and more of them. And then, by the way, they'll be faster than regular engineers, and they'll be a virtuous flywheel.
Let me quote Benedict Evans, my muse from Threads. I hate to break it to people who are just now reading the Wikipedia page for Jevons paradox, but something can get cheaper and therefore be used massively more and still be a crappy business. Ask a telco shareholder how these charts paid out.
Well, what happened to telcos? AT&T had a monopoly on long lines and were able to charge an awful lot until digital technology came along.
Yeah, but this is even in the mobile days, he's saying.
Well,
From 2012.
I'm just saying there's a lot of other factors. It's not just the one factor.
I think Paris is asking the fundamental right question, though. Paris is asking where the value is. What is
I
it
think it's
to
notable
use
that
AI?
most of the leaders of these companies, while they spout off big proclamations like this, I was listening to an interview that Noam Shazir did with, I'm forgetting what podcast, but he's now one of the 3 people that are the co-technical leads of Gemini at Google. And he had said, we don't even know what the main uses of AI are going to be yet. We'll figure that out maybe with the help of AI down the road. And I'm like, that's
right.
not an acceptable answer. Why are we investing hundreds of billions of dollars into a technology and totally giving up on all of our climate pledges as a country and as large corporations for technology that we don't know what the benefits will be other than could be interesting?
the first personal computer I bought an Atari 400 couldn't really do a whole lot. You had to save the programs on cassette tapes. It was, compared to our current computers, incredibly slow. You might have said, well, that was and it was very expensive in $20, $25. You might have said, well, what the hell's the point of that? But there is definitely a point, and
but I mean, I'm
we
not
just
sure
don't know
that's
necessarily
entirely
yet.
accurate. If you look at, obviously, I wasn't alive in the 70s, but I do have a lot of 70s era magazines.
Thank you very much.
I know, guys. I have a lot of 70s era magazines and 80s era magazines, and the ads for them tout all the great things you can use a personal computer for, and those are the things people did use them for at that time and continue to use them for today.
They used them to. It was things like it was things like balance. You couldn't do anything because, first of all, there was no internet, so you could balance your checkbook. You could play games. It was a very limited. It was basically a fast calculator.
There was no email yet.
There's no email. What changed completely is connecting all of them together.
No. Play games was enough. Play games was enough.
Play games was enough. That's why I bought an Atari 400.
You could print something, right?
Well, I used
not in the early days. People didn't really have printers.
He used them to write a book. You could write things on it.
You could write things.
Coming from a world of typewriters and calculators, the computer was a huge
To go
boon.
from the Atari 400 to a smartphone is a big leap.
But you're still not answering, I think, what is Paris's fundamental question, which is, what does it mean to use AI?
Well, we don't know yet.
And
we didn't know what it would mean to have an Atari, a computer in your pocket, always connected to the internet until it actually happened. It takes a while. This is how it is in the world of technology.
I'm not sure that it is, because even when people were developing early computers, they had an idea of what they wanted that computer to be and what it could do. Obviously, the people working on computers in the 70s to 90s didn't know about the iPhone 15, but they had an understanding of the benefits of the product they were creating. It's interesting that we have this entire industry developed on, I don't know, just a general lack of a sense of what this technology is for and who it is for specifically.
There is, so there are two avenues of attack, and you could tell me which one you're going to pick. One avenue of attack is you're never going to get to, and you're going to hit a ceiling, and it's never going to get intelligent enough to be really useful. The other avenue of attack is, well, it's going to get really useful, but we don't know how we're going to use it. Do you think AGI is not going to happen?
I don't know that we have a definition of AGI that would make that a productive conversation for us to have.
I know it's not going. It's BS, because there is no definition. The idea that something's just smarter than us, that has no meaning whatsoever. It still acts as if it thinks it doesn't really think.
Let me redefine it then.
AGI and worse, ASI are complete BS.
Let me redefine it then.
Please.
Is it possible that Mark Zuckerberg's right in that they will have a AI that can competently act as a mid-level programmer?
Yeah, we have that now, in the sense that you can ask a question of it to do something and it will actually do it. And behind that scene is programming.
So we don't have to stipulate what AGI is to say that it can replace a human being in some of the functions of human beings, and increasingly more and more of the jobs that humans do. I don't know if that's
the case, though, because then why aren't any of these companies firing their programmers and just relying on AGI only? It's because it doesn't work like that so far.
Yeah, and so pardon me, Uncle Jeff moment. I'm going to go to my line of type example, because this is on my brain. I'm writing a section right now. Hot type. When the line of type came in, it would replace typesetters. Because it was keyboard operated rather than a piece at a time. The typesetters knew that they were doomed, not only by the machine, but also by the fact that women, who were then known as typewriters, the person was the typewriter, could replace them because it was keyboard operated. And so what they did is they said, this is very Reid Hoffman, and what he's saying these days, no, we're going to control this machine. We are going to have agency over it. And they knew they would lose jobs for about 10 years. And then, because it has made printing so much cheaper, that the printing industry, newspapers, magazines, and so on, would explode, and they ended up with way more jobs and way more power for a half a century. Okay. That's the arc that you can take here, but the question is, it still goes back to Paris's question. Okay, let's take let's take agency over the technology, but to do what? And you're right, Leo, that we don't necessarily know yet. No, that's
do everything.
That's the thing. That's where it gets sloppy.
What if this
more
thing
examples.
gets all right, I would like this thing to record everything, this Plod note or the bee I'm wearing. Her, the movie.
You want the computer you want to develop an emotionally kind of complex and maybe a little tumultuous relationship with the computer.
That's not the main point of her.
And then have the computer leave you for another computer, because I would be down for that also.
That's just fiction. I would like an assistant that can understand everything that's going on, can give me advice and information, summarize. All of those things would be very, very useful. And yeah, maybe all it does is make humans more productive. Okay, but there is a lot of value in that. I don't think investors are misguided. You can attack it saying, well, it's never going to get to that point. But if it does get to a point where it is useful to that degree, that is going to be a very valuable technology.
Paris,
just as the Atari, when you look at the Atari 400, you go, well, you're going to sell 500,000 of them, big deal. But if you really saw the real possibility of what interconnecting computers could do, you might have a better, more bullish point of view. Do you not think that smartphones have created a lot of value in the world?
Sorry, I've got to get something out of my shoe here.
Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest.
No, just respond to what I said.
Fall out. Yeah. That's exactly what I was going to say.
I think you were making really good points, Leo. Jeff, I was thinking in my head it would be funny to do a sand prop comedy bit, and then Jeff spoke it into existence, so I did have to do it.
Were you doing something, Jeff? Were you doing that? Is that what you were doing?
No. There was just great minds think alike.
Yeah, sometimes we're aligned like that.
Yeah, we are.
That's the power of human intelligence.
I don't understand how somebody can look at the output of current AIs and not go, holy cow.
Oh, I do. But I think
I think they're certainly super useful. I just think that we need to be a bit more grounded in it to be like, yeah, this is a very useful technology. It will have in the next 3 to 5 years, some specific use cases that it's fantastic for. And probably over the next 5 to 10, it will have general implications for general society and most jobs in limited ways. But by which I mean, take your average career or industry, that person will have something that's different about their line of work because of some AI tool, maybe. But I think that that's a more reasonable and balanced thing to say versus everything in the world is going to change irreparably. There's not worth planning anything for the future because we're not going to have jobs.
No, I didn't say
this
that.
This is going to change everything.
I said it's reasonable to invest in it as if it's going to change everything. Look, if you could have bought Apple stock in 2007 when this was announced and that you held that stock till now, you would be a very wealthy person. If you could see the potential of the iPhone, and by the way, that did not take much visionary capability, you would have seen the future. I think we are on the cusp. If you say, I see what this does and it's amazing, how can you then say, oh, well, I know it's not going to be worth that much?
That's why DeepSeek is so important, because the scale of VC investment in the Valley versus the investment that came in China says investment, yes, stipulated, Your Honor. Amazing, stipulated. A good investment, stipulated. But at that scale, that's the question.
I don't
think it's a question you need to answer. It's not your money.
I mean, that's a fair point.
If VCs want to pour their fortune into this,
but I also think as people, sorry, Benita, go.
I have a question related to that VCs thing. Is how long then until they actually need to make money before they pull their investments? How long do you think, how patient are they until they can actually make money?
As long as there continues to be progress, I think that's not going to be a problem. If we go a year without progress,
right?
They'll make money. Look, they have plenty of money. The reason they're VCs is because they have more money than they need.
So Reid Hoffman also invested, I think, $24 million in a new startup using AI on cancer. That is a legitimate, specific use case and an investment that makes to me a great deal of sense. Chatting machines don't yet have, and they're amazing, and I love them, but and 24 million is a lot less.
That's a failure of imagination. That's a failure of your imagination. That's all it is. There's a million things like curing cancer. There's an almost infinite number of things that could be incredibly valuable, could change the world, and you don't have to have a lot of them to make your money back. But I don't care about the money part. It's not my money. And I'm glad that there are people willing, nations as well as individuals, willing to invest money in this stuff. But the upsides, cure cancer, there's a million upsides. There's a million upsides. What if it can invent fusion? What if it can invent a quantum computer? What if it can, it can go on and on and on. What if there's never another traffic jam because AIs then eliminate traffic jams by scheduling vehicles?
So imagine you're an investor in OpenAI and along comes DeepSeek. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking this is great news.
For your investment?
It's the retail investors that are selling off. I guarantee you the VCs are not going, oh, we got to get out of this. That's great news. It means you can do more with less. How is that bad news?
Wouldn't you feel, if I'm just playing like devil's advocate, wouldn't you feel like maybe you've been fleeced, or maybe you've been sold that the most expensive option is the only option?
We should talk to these guys.
Wouldn't you be making some calls?
I'm pretty sure Mark Andreesen does not feel like he's been fleeced. I'm pretty sure investors do not feel like it. No, they don't feel like they've been fleeced. They see this as opportunity. They're not as dumb as retail investors. The stock market, maybe profit taking, fine. But I think VCs understand.
Well, the 2000 bubble
thing
was VC money, not retail investor money.
Do you think this is a bubble?
Investors.
Do you think this is a bubble?
That's the fear. I mean, we're playing devil. We're reversing roles here. Paris and I think, are devil's advocating you here because you got sand in your socks. But that's the question. All I'll say is it's a question. Is the scale of investment, is it appropriate over, as Benito says, the time frame that's necessary? I don't know. That's all. Is it amazing? Will it do amazing things? Will it keep growing?
I don't think you're worried. I don't know why you're worried about VCs. If they lose their shares,
as in 2000, it has an effect on the rest of us.
That is true. I do think also, I've realized during this conversation something fundamental about the way I see the world, which is I think that my perspective on issues like this is much more inherently skeptical, in part because my understanding of the tech world is obviously fairly recent. I came of age in the era of, the .com bubble bursting, the hype and optimism of the early 2000s fading away to a deep cynicism and skepticism over what tech companies have wrought upon the world. Every time in my life and career as journalist that there's been some huge bubble or push towards this being the next big amazing thing, there's always been another shoe that had to drop. And so I think that that's why I approach this with such skepticism, in addition to it being my curiosity,
job. How did the .com bubble burst hurt you guys?
It resulted in a widespread financial crisis.
The financial crisis.
Well, no, I'm not saying it one-to-one, but I'm saying it led to a period of tumult.
Was on bad mortgage debt.
I know what the financial crisis is, guys. Okay. I'm saying it.
And that I'll grant you is a bad idea.
I meant that in
banks should never been allowed to become investors.
As a crisis of the financial type at the time.
It wasn't, though. It was a crisis of a lot of .coms that went out of business in 2000. But guess what? We got out of that. We got incredible infrastructure.
We did, but my FU money in the meantime said FU Jeff. And
that's your fault. That's your fault, Jeff. I don't have any stock in this. That was your mistake.
No, I had mutual funds. Everything went down for some period of time.
Friends of mine.
That's what I'm talking about.
Wait a minute. Did it come back?
Yes.
Okay. But I think there was a great time. The market tanked this week.
Smarter.
Will it come back?
Could we have done 2000 smarter? Could we have, another effect it had is it made my industry, news, say, oh yeah, what a pile of crap. We don't pay attention to any of that. And it gave them an excuse to avoid innovating. That's a huge impact that it had because 2000 was about stupidity.
They were going out of business anyway.
Yeah, well, there's that.
I got bad news for them. They were going out of business. You know who else is going out of business? All mainstream media is going out of business.
Yes.
It's not a good time for mainstream media.
I'm completely on that line.
The people are making their own media.
We entertain and inform ourselves. We don't like mainstream media. We hated being treated as a mass this last century.
You might have said,
my books are all
And
about.
I think
I
that's
know.
deeply depressing because we need institutions with editorial standards. And
we can do better than the ones we have. Yes, we do. I agree. We do.
I
The
would
ones we
say
have
that
are failing
casting
us.
all current working journalism institutions as bad and failing is wrong and short-sighted.
no, I didn't say bad, just failing.
I am. The institutions. There are good journalists at the New York Times. There are
They're
good
just-
journalists on the
They're
Washington
failing
Post.
because
but the
people can make their own
institutions are
content. They
terrible.
don't need them anymore.
The institutions are failing us as a democracy. CNN is failing us as a democracy.
I would push back on the statement. You're like, people may think that what they want is to not have any of these institutions around. But if we exist in a world where there is no like news gathering professionals, and it is all just one-off creators trying to line their own personal pocket by getting more and more views, that's going to be a terrible.
No, I want
place to
more
live. And
information.
There will be no.
I don't
There will be
think
no
that-
source
I
of
want more.
truth.
I want new institutions. I thought we could reinvent the institutions we had. I thought they could update. That's what I've given up on. No, we need these institutions. That's what I read my books about. Is that we create these institutions. After print, we created the institutions of editing and publishing. After the industrialization of media, we created the institution of the magazine. We need these institutions. Absolutely, Paris. Couldn't agree more. But I don't think that the ones we have now, all in all, can be reformed along that line. And there will be chaos. There is chaos in between. But what we need is more places like the information. We need more things
There'll
to
be
invent
people-
new things.
Just as there are people like Mr. Beast, there'll be people like Jessica Lesson. Seriously.
Oh,
there
did
always
you have
will
to
be.
put them in the same sentence? Did you have to
No,
put
there
them
always
in the
will
same
be.
sentence?
There'll be both.
There'll be idiots and there'll be good people.
There'll be
Yeah.
idiots and there'll be people who are
lessons,
committed
as far as
to.
the eye can see.
No, we only, honestly, we don't. We just need maybe 1 in 10. 90% can be Mr. Beast. But if 1 in 10 or 1 in 20 or 1 in 50, well, when you have 100 million people
90%
creating
could be
content.
Mr. Beast is such a grim statement.
No, think of it the other way. You got 100 million people creating content. 90 million of them are morons. 10 million people are Jessica Lessons. That's fantastic.
You have more chaff, but you have far more wheat in the chaff.
That's
so
the history of the
difficulty
internet.
is how to find it, and those are opportunities. I spoke last night to a class at Berkeley, and I didn't fly there. I did it over the miracle of technology. And that was my point, is they kind of said, well, how do you find the good stuff? I said, boom, you're in a class to invent new things. That's a business opportunity. That's what Harper's Magazine did in 1850. It said, there's all kinds of new stuff coming off the steam-powered presses. Somebody has to find the good stuff. And they invented Harper's Magazine to do that. So there's opportunity in this problem that we have. There is more wheat out there. We need help to find it. And algorithms ain't going to do it all for us.
No,
and neither is there a mass view that we're going to find the good stuff is good for everybody.
There's never going to be another Walter Cronkite. There's never going to be another Walter Cronkite.
Thank goodness.
I don't think that's the end of the world, but it does make it harder to find that trusted source. E.R. Rosner says E. Rosner in our YouTube chat says, everybody's trying to line their pockets. Everybody's just is in it for the money, please. That's not true. I think there are a lot of people who are content to look, we got to make a living. I got to make a living. I don't need to become a billionaire. I have spent over the 20 years that this network's been around, well over $100 million to run the network. It's very costly. I got a few million out of it. I kept a little bit, but most of it went out, and I didn't become a wealthy person to do it. I just wanted to be able to make a living doing it and to have a team of people like you guys who will get paid. Because everybody needs to pay the rent and go out and buy a caviar hamburger once in a while.
Caviar chicken tender, please.
Chicken nuggets, please.
I think there are a lot of people in the world for whom that's the case. Now, we see, unfortunately, of some very greedy people in power right now. I mean, I don't know how many billionaires now are in the government. I think it's 18 billionaires followed Trump into government. So there's some very greedy people. I agree, but not everybody's greedy. I think everybody needs to make a living. It doesn't have to always be working in the fields, but I think you could be a journalist or a musician or an artist or a creator And if you can make enough to survive, to keep your family alive, to put a roof over your head and eat, I think there are a lot of people who'd be very happy to do that, because I think what you underestimate, E. Rosner, is human beings, for the most part, want to create, want to express themselves and be left alone. It's the weirdos who want to become billionaires. And I, just take a look at the billionaires and I rest my case.
Yep.
You're not in it to be a billionaire, Jeff or Paris.
No.
You have to make a living. Somebody's got to pay your rent.
So we're playing devil's advocate here, because this is what we do is discussion. Paris,
hold on, before you play devil's advocate, we're going to pause.
Oh.
This is This Week in Google, the last episode. 8:05 begins a brand new show, Intelligent Machines. Paris will not be here for that. She doesn't want to have anything to do
I don't
with
like
it.
new beginnings.
She'll be here for episode 806. We are working on getting some good people for the show. I have a confirmation that Ray Kurzweil, who coined the term intelligent machines, will be joining us next month. We will be talking, I hope, on this show with creators, people involved in it, philosophers, people who understand the potential and the threat of AI. We got to get Timnit Gebru on as well. And so that's going to be what the conversation will be. The name will be Intelligent Machines. You don't have to change anything about what you do as a listener or viewer. The feed will stay the same. It'll same time, all of that. Nothing will change.
Same shirts.
Same shirts. Name, album art, and music, thank God, will change. That's it. And the content a little bit. Although I have a feeling these conversations will continue. This year's Super Bowl will be full of AI ads. I'll tell you, the mainstream media is cashing in while they can. $8 million for a 30-second spot. $8 million. And
yeah, but it's the Chiefs. Even I don't know football, and I know that's boring.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
I watched the NBA, and there has been already a lot of AI ads and
Really?
AI stuff all over the NBA.
What kinds of things, Benito?
So the last game I saw, they were using AI to do moving stills. They animated stills with AI. It was obviously AI.
What do you mean moving stills?
Like they take a still shot and they animate it. Like they have the camera.
Like
do
that
a pan.
Coca-Cola ad we
But
saw, which
why?
was just a bunch of AI
Because
clips.
they can.
To what
Is
end?
this
Like, are they making
they
a shot
selling?
of someone shooting the basketball? Or is this an
Stuff like
ad
that.
or a?
Stuff like that? Yeah.
Oh, it's not an ad. You're saying they're using
Oh,
AI.
this is just
No,
part of
they
the
were-
game.
No, but then I also saw a
Editorial.
bunch of ads for like Gemini and things like that. Are
Oh, okay, that's what I was asking. All right.
Heavily advertising
Both.
on sports. Yeah.
Both.
My understanding of sports, watching sports today, as someone who has never watched sports, is that all the ads are now either AI or sports gambling.
This is true. Or cars.
That's
That,
pretty
by
grand.
the way, is a pernicious trend. Is the rise of sport gambling.
And the rise
am-
of casual gambling, just the fact that anybody can get into a gambling addiction just by tapping on their phone. Like you used to have to go somewhere at the very least and commit to doing a gamble.
Well, this is why sports teams and leagues and stuff are so valuable right now. All the new value came from legalized gambling.
Well, let me point you to a woman named Denise Coates, the richest woman in Britain. She's the founder and CEO of Bet365. She grew up, her dad was a bookie, which is legal in Great Britain.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Oh, yes.
They had these betting shops. And she ran a betting shop, but saw there was a potential. Once we go online, she was born in 1967. Her father bought some betting shops under the name Provincial Racing. She went to school, got a degree in econometrics, but then went to work as an accountant. And, it's always the accountants who notice the cash flow. She founded a company in 2000, 25 years ago, called Bet365. And the thing that she did that is going to transform betting in Britain, is transforming betting here, is the proposition bet. The in-game bet that will he make this kick? Will he get 100 yards of rushing in this game? The ability to bet in the middle of the game, not on the victor, but on events in the game. And this is really, I think it's very dangerous to people with gambling problems because it turns everything into a gamble. Isn't that the traditional a picture of a gambling addict. They're betting on everything. Is that bird going to take off to the left or the right off the thing? They're betting on everything, and that's what she did. That's how she became the richest woman in Britain. She's coming to the United States.
Start with the evil of state lotteries. I hate them.
I agree too. I was very upset when California approved the lottery. And remember, by the way, that all of this comes from basically support from Las Vegas casino operations. Yeah. And they're the ones who actually have kept the Indian casinos in California from doing full gaming, because they want you to go to Las Vegas if they can possibly get.
And they're
you
even
there.
getting teams in Vegas now too. So
all right.
Like for the longest time, forever, they weren't allowed to have teams.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, it was kind of like a unspoken thing.
Remember
right?
what happened to Pete Rose? He bet on baseball and never got into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Now,
when you say not allowed to have teams, you mean the city isn't allowed to have teams?
Yeah, before because there was a time when Vegas was the only
Vegas
place
the place you could
it was
gamble.
the only place you could gamble.
Yeah.
So
Right.
they couldn't have a home team, or else the gambling would be crazy.
right.
I see. Got it. Thank you. At least I don't know anything about sports. I know absolutely nothing. I watched the playoffs because I somehow got into it because all that snow made it fascinating to me.
I know, it's great to watch them freeze their ass off.
Did they?
And then
do
the
you
guys
have
in
to
the
play
stands
snow?
not wearing a shirt.
What was that?
They don't. It's just
Do they play in snow?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. They play no matter what.
Macho men. They can do anything on Earth.
Anyway, yeah. I mean, don't get me started on sport gambling. I agree with you 100%. That is the bane of. And then by the way, there's a lot of concern that the NFL makes quite a bit of money off of this sport bet, advertising and so forth. All right. Now you said you were gonna propose something, Jeff. I just wanted.
I was going to ask her about the end of the
amuse-bouche.
conversation. So never mind. No, keep
It's an
going.
amuse-bouche,
Nope,
just to
there was
break
nothing
up
there.
the. Okay,
There's nothing there.
Oh, I've got something from your show notes that we could do as an amuse-bouche.
please.
28.
Line
I
28.
knew you'd do that one. I knew you'd do that one.
I saw it and I was like, "Yep, that's me."
Oh, I picked it for you. It actually was going to be
Thank
my
you.
pick.
It's Paris bait.
It was Paris bait. So it was going to be my pick. We'll do it now. This is a website, 17th Century Death Roulette. They took the mortality records from 1665 and they've randomized it. Now you could bet on this.
Well, I just learned that in the week of July 11th, 1665, I died from rickets.
Oh, that's boring. I died from a candle in my bed that set my room on fire. But let's
in the week of September 12th, I died of grief.
Oh, in the week of
that's
October
so-
17th, I died of Tissic, which is
What is
coughing
Tissic?
and wheezing.
Oh,
All right. That's all this does. That's
I
all
was
it does.
killed with a cart at the St. Giles Cripplegate, which sounds
that's bad.
concerning.
Oh, I got rickets too. Must have been a lot
Feels
of
like a
people died of
common-
rickets. Yeah.
I also
Rickets
got Tissic.
is kind of a thing of the past now that we have vitamin D milk.
In the week of February, on Valentine's Day, I died of teeth.
I fell from a scaffold at St. Martin in the Fields. So these are all real deaths, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I want to know how someone dies from teeth. Is that like
I died
Before
of
dentists.
surfeit. I died of surfeit, overeating to the point of vomiting. I win.
that is pretty good?
Yeah.
Cacio e pepe, I assume they specify.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Too much cacio e pepe. That's an
Better bring
amuse-bouche
the
of a
bucket.
kind.
You know that scene from
Syphilis.
Yes, that's the worst scene. I can't watch that.
I keep getting the strange ones. I died from frightened on July 11th. They took the scream really literally.
Yeah. Hey, whatever happened to TikTok? Isn't it funny how we spent so much energy over the last 12
it ain't
months?
over. This could come
Well,
back.
yeah, it's a 90-day delay. They have to try and find a new buyer for it.
Some horrible corruption's going to occur here.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually.
Because again, it's like ByteDance has said they're not going to sell the algorithm. So how are you going to operate it without the algorithm, or are they going to have a licensing agreement for that? Both great questions. There's also, I guess, the alternative that Trump could just run out the clock and say the Justice Department doesn't have to enforce it. But that also opens up a number of potential complications, namely the provision in the law says that the Justice Department and the U.S. Attorney General shall enforce it. And I guess shall is like very specific legal wordage where they're like legally compelled to. They can't just say they won't. So someone could conceivably sue for them not enforcing it. And again, I think as we've talked about in the show before, an interesting complicating factor of all this is that the laws have the law has a very high penalty, I believe, like
Yes.
daily based, if not user, just generally based. And it has a kind of version of like statute of limitations, like up to 5 years. So even if Trump says, poo poo, I'm not going to deal with this at all, if the next president wants to, companies like Oracle and potentially even Apple or Google, if they bring it back in the app stores, could be on the hook for trillions of dollars at like in the most conservative estimates, which would be devastating to say the least.
Perplexity offered to buy it or merge with it and give half to the U.S. government.
We cannot have a U.S. government sponsored
No.
TikTok seems
No,
like a bad idea.
any platform for speech.
Seems like
No.
a bad idea. So
Well,
there's
that
a
was
little
Trump's
there's
idea.
there's a little controversy brewing. Google Maps has renamed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
Pisses
Apple
me
Maps
off.
has not. It's still the Gulf of Mexico on Apple Maps.
Have they done it? Did they actually rename it?
Google, yes.
Because last I looked, they hadn't yet.
Oh, they
Have
plan
you
to.
updated your app?
Nope, it
Because
still says Gulf
the
of Mexico.
geographer.
I'm on the web. It still says Gulf of Mexico.
Oh, or you're not on Google Earth. You're on Maps.
I went to maps.google.com.
Oh.
Yes.
Let me just
Act
see.
like, you
what,
act like I haven't seen this Google thing.
do you know how Google works? Let me just see what it is on mine. No, yeah, it's still Gulf of Mexico on the app. So they said they were going to rename it because the geographer of the United States or whatever has changed the name.
The Sharpie of the United
But they also say in other countries it may still be the Gulf of Mexico.
Well,
So-
Google also internally has sent a directive that they're reclassifying the United States as a, quote, sensitive country, a designation
Right.
that they only have for China and Russia, given...
Sensitive about
so
their
that they
place
can-
names.
yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't
So that
that
they
make us so
can-
proud?
Yeah. And
We're
I just think
sensitive.
it's very unfortunate.
Google's also saying it's going to change the name of Denali in Alaska back to Mount McKinley.
That's really offensive.
Yeah. So this is all because Google says, well, we have to because we follow what what is it? The geographer of America or whatever. I don't know what that's called.
Is that really true?
Yeah, there's a committee.
No, but did they really follow that in that way? Or if, I mean, I don't know.
If it's a sensitive
where their
country,
data
they
came
do.
from. Yeah, but the U.S.
I don't know.
Interestingly, this is from CNBC. Some team members within MAP divisions were ordered to urgently make changes to location name and recategorize the U.S. from non-sensitive to sensitive. The changes were given as part of a rare P0 order, meaning it had the highest priority level, and
Wow.
employees were immediately notified to drop whatever they're doing to work on it. So we can assume this probably came from.
How
the
hard could
top.
that be? Isn't it just a database somewhere?
I mean, I assume there's probably a couple speed bumps to changing the
Maybe.
name of places
Maybe.
on
Yeah.
nationwide maps.
Well, especially if
there's-
it's only in the U.S. that it's changed, and if the IP address is outside, if you're in Mexico, it still says Gulf of Mexico.
There's
So-
another factor here, which is the employees. I just put it in the Discord. New York Times has a story which I just saw, I hadn't read yet. With tampons and code, Silicon Valley workers quietly protest tech's rightward shift.
The tampons is because Meta took tampons out of the men's room, which you might
Right.
say, well, what was the market for tampons in a men's room? Well, it was for transgender men who still menstruated. And so
or non-binary employees who choose to use a
who
mind,
choose to
like
use a men's
male
room. Right.
restroom.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it was seen as a shot across the bow.
To protest Mr. Zuckerberg's actions, some Meta workers soon brought their own tampons, pads, and liners to the men's bathroom. A group of employees also circulated a petition to save the tampons. I mean, I'm happy for protest within Silicon Valley against this rightward lurch, and this is one good topic. But let's have even more, folks.
Yeah.
You're running the world. You got more power than you think.
It is a little sad to see these ostensibly big, powerful companies bend the knee.
Oh,
It's economically probably savvy. For instance, if you're Apple, if you're Tim Cook, the threat of 100% tariff against TSMC in Japan or Taiwan is bone chilling. That's the chips that are in all of their devices are made by TSMC in Taiwan.
At Google, an employee. Go ahead. At Google, an employee was recently asked to approve an animation of fireworks for the company's search engine to help mark Mr. Trump's inauguration. The employee made it clear in a coding system that they did so reluctantly because it was mandated by Mr. Pichai, two people with knowledge of the incident said. Google denied Mr. Pichai's involvement.
Now, to play devil's advocate, if they'd asked, it's kind of traditional to celebrate a new.
No, Google has never.
They've never done fireworks.
They've never done
Okay,
any
never mind.
specific animation for
Okay.
the inauguration.
Then
Specifically,
forget it.
I'm forgetting where this is from, but there was reporting around the time that the reason was every other time this has been brought up internally, Google's like, we don't want to be seen as biased towards any particular administration.
But
Now it's okay. Now it's okay. 23andMe. This is actually an important
Yeah, this
story.
is sad.
They have my spit
Yeah, they
on
did mine.
file. Yeah. So, in fact, they were an advertiser. So maybe they have some of your spit too, dear listener. 23andMe was the company, of course, run by. Is it Susan or Ann Wojcicki? I always confuse the two of them.
Susan
Ann Wojcicki.
was the late Susan was YouTube.
Right, that's right. So Ann Wojcicki, her sister, founded the company in 2006. The idea was we're going to make genetic testing affordable, selling DNA tests to the public. Now, I've since learned that the way that they did this in order to make it affordable, especially back in 2006, they didn't do a full genome. They did a little sample of the genome, and then they used statistics to kind of give you the results based on questionnaires of other 23andMe people. However, they did preserve the spit samples, the saliva samples, and they certainly have a lot of information about you. Their financial situation is not great. They reported a loss in 23 of $312 million. Company's share price is down 98% in the last 4 years. It's now $4. Hackers breached the systems in a couple of years ago, accessing the personal information of 7 million customers. That cost them $30 million in a settlement. Remember, the board left. They resigned in September. All 7 of the members of the board resigned immediately, unhappy with the direction Wojcicki was taking the company. She did control almost exactly half of the voting rights, but she wanted to go private so that she'd have full control of the company. Yesterday, the company announced they're exploring strategic alternatives. In other words, sale.
Elon Musk is going to own your spit and your genome.
And that's the real concern. I mean, there's a privacy concern here. It's often the case that with the sale of the company goes all of the information the company has about you. And I think it would be the case in this situation. So
And that's what someone would be buying, right? They're buying a database.
yeah,
of
that's all
DNA.
they're getting.
Yeah.
They're getting this. They're getting the spit. They're buying the spit.
Can I take us in an entirely different direction for a second?
Please do.
So while we were talking about DeepSeek earlier, I opened up DeepSeek, put in that tampons article from the New York Times because that was in the rundown and I hadn't gotten a chance to finish it, and asked it to summarize it for me and said, highlight any interesting or fun anecdotes and details. Did a pretty good job, but as we were talking about it, I wanted to bring up a detail that was in the story. Because I'm a good journalist, I went to Control F, search for the anecdote in the story before I said it in the podcast. It doesn't exist. It said in
Oh,
all
dear.
this, it said,
But
fun
you
anecdote.
Wanted an anecdote. You wanted
It's
it.
a-
We gave it to you.
And I looked so, because it described it in a way that seemed real, because it wasn't particularly fun. It says, this is like list number 4 in a like 10-part summary of this article. It says, fun anecdote. One protester shared a humorous story about how a male executive, when confronted with the demand for free tampons, initially suggested employees could just, quote, plan ahead, end quote, and bring their own. This comment sparked widespread ridicule on social media, with many pointing out the
very
lack of
specific.
understanding about menstrual cycles and the impracticality of such a suggestion. Doesn't exist in the story. So then I go back and ask, is the fun anecdote you listed in the story an actually in the New York Times link that I sent you? And it says, no, the fun anecdote about the male executive suggesting this is not in the actual New York Times article you linked. I included it as a hypothetical example to illustrate the kind of tone or humor that might arise in a story. So sorry. My apologies for any confusion. Let me know if you'd like
wanted
a
a
more
tampon
accurate
joke.
summary of the actual article. Yeah, DeepSeek, I'd want an accurate summary, please.
Wow. Oh, geez.
Although
I just thought that was worth highlighting.
I didn't make it completely out of whole cloth, because I have seen that actual comment on Reddit. So people do say that
Plan
that's
ahead
their
thing
yeah.
from a meta executive.
Well, no, not from an executive, but that is kind of the response of a lot of gentlemen is, well, just plan ahead and bring your own. They don't understand, right?
I mean, it makes sense. They clearly got it from somewhere, but it has nothing
Right.
to do with what I was asking it to. And
Yeah.
it's just a
And it wasn't
complete
from that
hallucination.
source.
There is
Yeah.
a BYOT policy in some companies. Believe it or
I mean,
not.
that's just being a menstruating person in the world, I guess, is BYOT.
Yeah, right. Interesting.
Always check, guys.
Always check.
Even with
Do you
something as
have-
simple as summarize this with the link,
They make stuff
can't
up.
do it.
So I'm using the Google. Now I installed it so that, and this will drive you and your colleagues nuts, Paris, but on every web page, I can right click and then summarize this page. The summary, like I've been stratechery. I'm not going to read this whole thing.
Right.
Cory Doctorow's Bible. I'm not going to read the whole thing.
Right.
So I asked for it, and it just says, this is about this and this and this and this. So then I try to go further and say, well, what does it say? It doesn't. It just is. It's the worst kind of 8th grade book report summary.
We just need better AIs. And if you guys would just allow us to create them,
For some accelerationism here, damn
you're
it.
just getting in the way. You knock it off. Do
I mean,
I have a personal question to ask you both.
Has nothing to do with.
Do I have influencer voice?
No,
No.
you have radio boy voice.
Yeah.
Fast Company, the rise of influencer voice. Why this TikTok creator accent is taking over the internet and maybe the world. This has actually been a long time coming. It used to be called YouTube voice, right?
And way back in the day, it was 1930s broadcaster voice.
Broadcaster voice.
Right.
The influencer accent isn't new. They write it was around long before TikTok. Linguistic quirks have been emerging on platforms like YouTube and Instagram for over a decade. A few years ago, it was all about the YouTube voice. Hey guys, don't forget to subscribe. Hey guys. But I thought that when I saw this article, I thought, are they talking about that synthetic voice? Are people starting to sound like the TikTok synthetic voice? And actually, in a way, they are, because, well, I'll play a little TikTok for you. It's up talk, right? You're asking everything
Basically.
as a question, right? Why is it? And so here's a influencer.
Or is there this new influencer voice that English influencers specifically use?
It's not just
So they're
English.
like, the other day, I went to the supermarket and I actually bought this eyeliner, and this is the eyeliner I'm using right now. And it sounds like I'm asking you a question, which might be really confusing. I'm actually not. I'm just going up at the end of every sentence.
I think she's
feels
right,
like-
right? This is
yeah.
Cassiette, by the way, on TikTok.
It's sort of like they're keeping you on the edge of your seat, like it's about to come to a crescendo or like
Right.
a question, but it isn't. So you're kind of leaning in. I feel like it's part of Because if you're scrolling through a lot of videos, if you see someone like, I don't know, I hate watching long videos. This is why I don't use YouTube. But if I see someone might be just saying a short sentence that ideally would end in a question, I might be more likely to listen to that and then get tricked into listening to
I'm
seven
sure
of those.
it's more. That's why, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure that's why.
I think also because they don't write a lot of what they do, they're editing in their
So they're
head
thinking,
while they're doing it. So
they're
like,
pausing.
yeah, exactly.
As they
They're
think of the
stopping.
next thing to
Yeah.
say.
and they don't want to write it out, and they don't want to do it again.
Right. And they don't want to do it again.
If you watch home TV stuff, Christina on the Coast is one of the shows. She does a bathroom remodel commercial, and it is the most extreme uptalk I've ever heard. Every single thing is up. It drives me bananas.
Is it on TV?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen, I mean, there's nothing worse than local.
No, this
commercials
is
on
national.
TV.
She's
really?
big nationally. Yes, Christina on the Coast, bath commercial.
According to Fast Company, studies have shown that uptalk successfully grabs our attention, as it implicitly invites the listener to confirm they are listening. One creator explains, nobody actually talks like that. It's a form of code switching that influencers learn on this app because it keeps people watching
people do
their
it in real life.
videos.
Influencer accent everyone's been talking about sounds like that because it's designed to manipulate you. You know what I mean. Hey guys, this is my dry erase cleaner and surface restorer. Today we're going to clean some whiteboards. Nobody actually talks like that. It's a form of code switching that influencers learn how to do in this app because it keeps people watching their videos.
I think that's fair. I'm not going to watch any more of this guy's video. I can tell you that right now. He's right, though. He's right. Okay, so I don't do that. I do old guy radio voice? Is that my voice?
You do radio voice.
Oh yeah, you do happy radio voice.
Happy radio voice.
You have a smile in your voice.
I do. My mom
You're
used to say you talk like you're on helium.
You're smiling with your vocal
I'm
cord.
always smiling with my vocal cord.
I had when I did TV tryouts, I did them multiple times because we want a TV critic. Oh no, we don't. And they would tell me just do that. No, you got to get the smile in your voice.
Yeah.
And you're like, I never smile.
No, you don't know me.
I think we should bring back the Atlantic accent for TikTok. You know, the mid-Atlantic
Mid-Atlantic
kind of vocal.
accent.
So you want to hear the extreme of uptalk? I just put it in the Discord.
Oh, this is all right.
This is Christina doing the jacuzzi bathroom.
Oh, this is the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Jacuzzi bath remodel spot. Take one.
Are you ready for a fresh new bath or shower? Well, now is the best time with free installation and no interest and no payment for 1 year. Hi, I'm Christina, and it's time to flip your old worn-out bath or shower.
Who is she?
This is the most boomer complaint I've ever seen. It hits, I'm sorry, Jeff, it hits complaining about an ad you see on TV and complaining about a woman's voice. It's like the nexus of everything.
I knew I would get crap for that. And fine, I deserve it. But if you see, I actually watch old TV. I've seen that 1,000 times.
What's old TV?
Broadcast TV.
Any kind of TV is old.
Any kind of TV. My cable TV. Yeah, I actually have a television. Oh, by the way, changing the subject very quickly, did you buy a TV, Barris?
Stay tuned for the answer to that question right after this word from our sponsor. Okay. Did you buy a TV?
I did. After all, I went down a big rabbit hole, guys. You know, you
didn't
that
just listen to us?
I did listen.
I had nothing to say. I was not mansplaining.
I did listen to you, and it really cut off a good 75% of the rabbit hole, but there still was a 25% that remained, and it ruined me. Specifically, there's just a lot, I was thinking about getting the LG that you recommended, but the LG is so expensive. So I was like, all right, the next best is really like a Samsung. And specifically, I want to get the QD OLED, as we talked about. But then I was like, all right, I think I found
That's more
the Samsung.
expensive, isn't it?
No, the Samsung QD OLED is going to be less expensive than the top.
Well, it's even better. But you were looking at the top tier LGs. You didn't need to look at the top
I don't know. I was like, if I'm going to spend this amount, I might as well get like a QD OLED, whatever.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing. I went back and forth a lot between the non-QD OLED LG and the QD Samsung. Ended up becoming even more complicated because when I settled on, I'm going to do the Samsung, then I realized that the Samsung brand that I was looking at has a weird quirk, which is in the 2024 models, they kind of use a lottery system for the panels, some intrepid journalists found out, where some, at first it seemed just like random. Some would be just mystery WOLEDs, and then some would be the QD OLED. And I was like, well, I can't do that. I can't end up with a WOLED if I pay QD OLED prices. But turns out in the US specifically, the 65-inch and the 55-inch are 100% of the time QD OLEDs. So I ended up going with that. But then I was like, well, if I want to do this to get to watch Blu-rays and 4K UHD discs, then I'm like, well, the Samsung doesn't have Dolby Vision. Is that something
That's
I
a
should care
problem.
about? I
You're
know.
right.
Listen,
we didn't
I
address
know.
that. We didn't.
But then I was
Dolby
like,
Vision
but-
and HDR. I forgot about that.
I know, but it's got
Yeah.
HDR 10 plus, and people
Which
tell
is
me that's
cheaper.
all right. But
you don't
that's
have to
the
license the Dolby. Yeah.
But then I was like, well, if I'm gonna get a PS5, that doesn't have Dolby Vision already. So like, would that be worth it? Then I'm like, well, if I'm gonna get a PS5, I should really just get a Panasonic UB420, which is a
God, you
standalone
have
thing
a hard
that already
life.
it really wrecked me. But I made a decision. I bought from Costco. I have a Samsung S90D 65-inch QD OLED coming in on Friday. Some men are going to carry it up into my apartment for me.
You're going to be
And
so
I've
happy.
also got I picked up a Panasonic UB420 disc player and whatnot, which has HDR optimizer, 4K scaling.
Oh, you went all
everything
out.
you want.
You spent
but
every
just
penny that you-
I didn't spend every penny because I could have gotten the insane Panasonic 820, which is like $400.
That's the one I got, which
but
is stupid. Yeah.
Listen, I would have gotten it if I got a TV that could do Dolby Vision, because that's the only real difference. But I was like, I'm going to save money, get a non-Dolby Vision, really nice TV.
Please don't yell at me.
Oh, you're going to doubt her. You're going to give her buyer's remorse?
No, actually, you got exactly the right thing.
Okay.
But Google and Samsung, realizing that this is a problem, have created Project Caviar to replace Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos, both of which are licensed from Dolby. They're making a new spec, and it was actually announced and shown at CES this year. Project Caviar. Now they call it Eclipsa Audio. It'll be available on this year's, the new Samsung models. Now,
I mean, frankly, I don't need it that much for the audio. It was more just for the.
yeah, you still have to buy speakers, by the way.
Listen, that's a problem for future Paris. I could get nice speakers here from Facebook Marketplace in Brooklyn. I just needed to get the TV and the the player
Get
purchases
powered
before
and-
stuff got
Yes.
expensive due to tariffs.
Good.
Is it mounted? Is it mounted, or how do you do it?
No, I'm gonna put it on my credenza like my current
that's
TV
fine.
is.
Okay. That's fine. Get a nice. That's perfect.
Yes,
And,
but it
Anthony
was. I
is pointing
read
out, and he's right.
hundreds of tabs.
You don't really see the difference in HDR10 and Dolby Vision. HDR10
Listen,
is
that's
fine.
what I finally decided after it. I was like, I can't spend like $600-700 more just for Dolby Vision. That's dumb, because it would be then like I'd have to spend more.
You'd
on
never notice the difference.
Yeah, I'd never notice, especially coming from my crap TV now. Literally anything I was purchasing is going to be better.
Oh, have you?
And,
You haven't
and
seen
you would
it
have
yet.
to buy specifically Dolby Vision media to
I know.
use it.
Listen,
Yeah.
God, do I know? I've bought so many Blu-ray discs and UHD discs though in the last couple of days, and I'm really excited.
Oh, how exciting! So, what do you? What? Tell us what you bought. What movies?
Well, my first
have you
purchase was
decided?
I found like the reason why I decided to do this. I wanted to get a
Wild at
copy of
Heart.
Wild at Heart,
Yeah.
so that I could see it in a non-terrible archive.is way. So I have that coming, which is specifically the collector's edition that has a bunch of deleted scenes that I'm just excited about the idea of I've never been able to watch like commentary tracks or deleted scenes
Love
from my media,
commentary. Oh,
and I
love
miss that.
Yeah.
So what else did I have it here on my list somewhere?
Are you
I
buying a bunch
got.
of Criterion stuff? Buy Criterion stuff.
I mean, I'm waiting
Criterion's
till
the
the
good stuff.
Criterion sale. I'm a Criterion member, and they usually do a sale at some point, so I will. I've gotten Adaptation, which I love on ultra high def, Vampire's Kiss, Asteroid City, which is my favorite Wes Anderson movie. I got Face Off, specifically this collector's edition from a group called Kino.
Wow,
that
these are
also has, like,
expensive.
they're
the
all
Wild
kind
at Heart collector's edition is $80.
I got mine, I think, for like 25.
Oh.
It's because all David Lynch discs right now are sold out because he just died.
Yeah.
And so I got the Wild at Heart one off eBay for I think like 25.
Smart. I hope it's not, the Japanese. You do know about region encoding.
God, do I? I've learned so much. I've learned so much that I wish to not know.
You have to be careful with discs. The first time you use your player, it will say what region you're in, and you can get away with not telling it for a while, which means you can watch discs from any region. But at some point, it's going to get region locked.
But do they really
you're going to have to? Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah, there's like supposedly some hacks to use this Panasonic thing to get around that. But
There
I've
may
just been
be a
buying
special-
region free. Like
Yeah.
I today bought. There's been this movie I've been trying to see.
It's probably
at
only with new
Spectacle,
ones.
my like local theater, called Dead Mountaineers Hotel. It's like an old Estonian cult film that isn't available for streaming anywhere, but I haven't been able to catch it in theaters, and tomorrow is the last showing and I'm not going to make it. So I ordered a copy of it in a limited edition media book, region free with English subtitles. That's coming in this week.
Do you think Wild at Heart is worth, buying a whole new TV and DVD player?
It is. I mean, I also have just been I'm being facetious, but I have been watching a lot of movies at home lately, and the last year and a half has been really me getting into cinema more. And part of, I don't know, I was like sitting there watching some movies the other week, and I was also playing some YouTube videos on my computer to my TV, and I was looking at my computer screen. I was like, God, this is like 25 times better than my TV screen right now. I need to be looking at the movie. I was like, I need to be looking at the movies correctly.
Yeah,
so I was like, if I'm gonna get a non-terrible TV, like I think the TV I got was like $300 new 8 years ago. So I'm like, if I'm gonna buy a new TV, I might as well get one that I'm gonna keep for the next decade as well.
Yeah, this will hold you in good stead. I still
can't
have
watch
the
with the
LG
purple
OLED I
light on.
bought 8 or 9 years ago, and it's just as good.
And also,
OLED's
it was a good time to buy because they have I'm sure, as you guys know, I didn't know this, that TVs historically one of the like lowest times for prices is right before the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Because this is also when they start to release the new TVs. So
Exactly.
I was on Artings, or is it Ratings?
Artings is good. No, that's a good place to go. Yeah.
He was
Yes,
intense.
we have a show with Scott Wilkinson called Home Theater Geeks.
But I've been told I can't go in there because it's way too intense.
Artings or
No, Home Theater Geeks. I've been told it's going to be, as someone
bankrupt.
starting from zero, I can't go there yet.
You do need an audio setup, though. It's something you're going to
Listen, I know. I know.
I'll just remember this Audio Engine. Look for Audio Engine. They're powered
That's on my
speakers,
list.
so you don't need a.
Yeah, it's fine.
She's gonna. But what about the DVD player?
No, she can just output the audio from the TV.
From the TV.
Send the TV
Yeah.
from the TV,
Yeah.
The DVD player has like its own audio stuff as well, and like
Right, but you need speakers.
Yeah, but it needs to follow the input that you have on the TV, right?
TV,
So-
yeah, you got to go through the TV. Our big TV is 20 years old, and my wife's just not going to go for it.
How do you live?
I know.
Well, he doesn't need to have that
good
high
you didn't
quality
get
when
that
he's just
TV
watching
critic
MSNBC.
Jeez, that's true. MSNBC looks just as bad everywhere.
I gave a talk to Sony, and as payment, I got a TV.
Whoa.
Oh,
that was nice.
20 years ago.
20 years ago.
Wait, but was it like the best TV?
How big of a TV
Is it a tube TV?
Hey. No, it's actually replaced another, not thin, but another flat TV that we had before that.
They had flat screen 20 years ago. Wow.
Yeah.
I will say it's crazy to me how small the TVs are now. I mean,
they're
I don't
so
even have
thin.
that old of a
Wait till
TV.
you see
I
the
was
one
like-
you got.
I was like, whoa, it's so tiny.
It's paper thin, the one you got.
I know. I went to go see it in the Best Buy when I picked up my Blu-ray player.
Yeah.
I had to search that Best Buy to find the dusty old shelf where they were selling 3 Blu-ray players.
Yeah, it's not a big market now. Everybody watches on streaming, but video files, cinephiles agree the best quality is always going to be the physical media. So you're good.
Oh, while we're in the tech recommendations corner, something I've asked you guys about before, but I've forgotten. What drive should I get for the backups of my computer? Like a Time Machine compatible drive?
It's a Mac.
Yeah, I know, but like,
No,
that was the question.
It's a Mac. Yes,
It's a Mac.
Enough up talk.
It's a Mac
for her generation. You have to really turn on the up.
It is a Mac. Yes.
That doesn't matter.
I've killed my last two because I think, as we learned last time I asked you about this, I now know I can't just unplug it willy nilly. I have to actually eject it.
Which Mac? What Mac is it? An M1 Mac? M2 Mac?
It's an M2.
And how big is the drive?
That's a great question.
How big? Yeah, you need to get an external drive that's ideally twice as big as the internal drive.
If you have a 512, get a 1 terabyte, and they're cheap.
I have like a 500 gigabyte. Yeah.
Okay, then get a 1
so
terabyte.
Get a terabyte.
It's like 80
But
bucks.
what brand should I get? Does that matter?
Seagate is fine. SanDisk is fine.
Hey,
if you want to get one that is Mac focused, go to macsales.com, Otherworld Computing. They're a little more expensive, but they will be kind of Macish. Let's see what they've got here. Yeah, maybe they're
I just saw Paris' post about
C-Disc.
me.
Paris posted about you?
Yeah.
No.
Did I post about you?
Yes, you did. I put it in the Discord.
Where did you post? On the information? No.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, I want to apologize. Blue Sky's pretty good.
Oh. Yeah, it is.
It's great.
It's very much now like old Twitter, I would say.
It is like old Twitter.
Yeah. They've finally crossed that bridge.
So can I since you're on that, can I extend the discussion last week about Mastodon? If you go down to line 162.
Yes.
So
more making the Mastodon fans mad. We love you, Mastodon fans.
I love you. I love you guys. I love this guy. But this is going to be my example of what I refer to as Scoldy Mastodon. This very nice person who I like, who's wonderful, I have nothing against, but he came after me and said, well, we do agree with your point of view of a media critic. It's obvious you sent a link to a reference, What the Fediverse is basically asking you guys of the Journalism Guild is to simply add the tag paywall.
Oh, yeah.
That's
why wouldn't you do that?
It's too much work. Is he doing that
for? Do you have to do that?
No,
for
that is a good thing to say because what happens is
I knew Leo was going to yell at me, and this is why I put it here. It's only respectful with your readers and followers. It even protects them because every time that we visit a site, we get cookied and classified. Like you don't know the New York Times is paywalled. And so every single time I put up something paywalled, I've got to say paywall.
And that uses characters.
Also, we do have our culture, our way of being, and our position about paywalls is quite clear in that regard. He gets to speak for all of Mastodon forever. And anybody new who comes in can't have a different view of this. This is why Black Twitter wouldn't come here.
That's called a culture. And the people on Mastodon want to preserve their culture. And that's there's a very good reason for hashtag paywall because people click on links and run up against a paywall and they can't read it. You wasted their time.
But it's the New York Times I'm talking about. If they don't know by this point, the New York Times has a paywall. And every major news site has a paywall. Every single time I'm a media critic.
I just want to say on the behalf of the entire Mastodon and Fediverse community, you're not welcome.
Well, you see, that's the problem. That's exactly what happened to Black Twitter. Black Twitter came in, Jonathan Flowers, a professor, and said, Musk has taken over Twitter. We do need someplace. And then you had people coming, well, no. You can't do this. You can't do that because it doesn't meet our culture. And he said back, well, you don't care about my experience. You don't care about expanding and more people.
Why would you not want to put in hashtag paywall?
Oh, because it's a pain in the ass.
Too many hashtags. If you got more than 2 hashtags on a post,
consider your reader. Consider your reader.
I've got a solution.
You're not worth it. I'm on Blue Sky and I'm happy. This is what I meant by
Blue Sky has this thing called like labelers where I've only seen it used in terms of like accounts. Like you could subscribe to a labeler and it would label if an account is like an associated member of the press or something like that. It would display a little thing, but they should have a version of that where if somebody wants to subscribe to a labeler, that doesn't mean you have to pay money. You just have to sign up for it. That will label every link in your feed as paywall or not based on a list of what sites, then go for it. Do that. I don't think that it should be every poster's prerogative that comply with the demands of every individual user who their post could come across. Sorry, I should have said who their toots could come across. I should respect what I'm talking about.
You probably hate putting in text descriptions of images as well on the alt.
No, I do it. I do it.
I love all.
I especially put up a lot of headlines and stuff. So for Blue Sky and Mastodon, which are the two places that demand it, I do a cut and paste of the headline text in 99.9% of the cases, unless I'm on my phone and walking.
The one thing I don't like about Blue Sky, and this is actually an argument against quote tweets, is there's way too much like retweeting, or what do you call it? Reskeeting. Like I'll see the same post 10 times. That's not a pleasant experience for people.
Well,
right? Do you have that experience? You see the same post again and again and again because everybody I follow has decided that that's worth reskeeting?
I don't, but it could also be if you're looking at just your following tab versus like Discover or different feeds, then you're going to be seeing chronological like skeets. So whatever posts come up, like someone is tweeting or whatever, are going to come across your feed in chronological order. If you use a different feed, I have like 12 that I look at, you're not going to get those same sort of mistakes. And if you are, you can always create your own feed to weed that out. So I will also say as an addendum, Blue Sky does have a labeler called identify paywall links that if that person was on Blue Sky, they could add it and the problem would be solved for them.
Let me be clear here.
Before you do, I just want to point out there is a setting, since I brought this up, and I'm not sure it works, but I think what I did was I turned off reposts and I turned off quote posts, which you can do, which is very nice in Blue Sky. And I think that will cut back on the number of repeats I get.
So I want to be very clear here to Utopia RT. I'm using this only as an example. I'm delighted you're reading my posts. I appreciate the discussion. I understand the culture. We disagree, but please take no offense at me being a smartass. Thank you.
Just add the hashtag.
What I do.
How hard can that be?
No, because no.
I will say, I would judge Jeff if I saw him tweeting or tooting or skeeting things with more than one hashtag. I would be like, that's
by the way
ridiculous.
To be fair, I have a Twit News Mastodon account that whenever I bookmark something for the shows, which I do, pretty much every day, all day, every day, it just retweets it. It doesn't have hashtag paywall. So I put in a lot of Mastodon posts that do not have. I don't think I've ever written hashtag paywall.
I put stuff up on the 4 socials, and I don't use your platform because in each one, if I'm tagging somebody, I'll go to the trouble to get the right tag for the right person in the right platform.
Right.
And so I can't do it across all of them. And usually what it means in Mastodon is I take out the tag because most of the people I'm talking about, don't have Mastodon accounts. So I go to a lot of effort to do this as is, and I'm squeezing things for the other platforms. I'm squeezing things down to fit. So no, I'm not.
Mastodon has a pretty,
thank you for your support.
I think it's 512 characters on my Mastodon, and some Mastodons have unlimited characters. So there's plenty of space for you to put those in. Here from the Daily Star, which is a British tabloid, the headline of the week: billionaire tech bros in turmoil as cheap new Chinese AI makes rivals look like proper thickos.
Gotta love. There'll always be a Britain.
That's a good headline.
Well, read the rest. Read the wood.
War of the psycho scumbag chatbots. Is that the wood?
That's the wood.
Is that the wood?
The wood is
how?
No, the wood is any headline that's too big for, in the old days, the lead type machine to turn out. So you used wood type to put a big headline in.
Whoa.
WOOD.
That's so that bring out the wood meant it was a big news story.
A Poundland new AI from China has given tech bros a real kicking and wiped millions and millions off the value of their stocks. Oh dear, how sad. Oh dear, how sad. Never mind.
So headless body found in topless bar was a wood?
That was wood. That's the greatest headline ever written, right?
It is the greatest headline ever written. Absolutely.
Is it the Post?
Post.
Oh, yes, of course.
Oh, yes.
I think everything the Post does is wood.
The Post is the one place that I still conceive of in my head as a groups full of cigar smoking people in a conference room. Whenever I think of people coming up with the New York Post front cover headline, or I guess the wood, That's exactly what I think.
Conference room is a little too posh, I would say, for that kind of newsroom. Now, in fact, I worked in that building when I was a TV guide, and so it was just a plain office building. But in the old days, no, it was no conference.
Was it a fishbowl?
I'm sorry, it's not a wood. It was in the proper headline place. It wasn't on the photo. So I think that would just make it a normal head, not a wood. Headless body and topless bar. Just correcting the record.
And do you remember what the story was about?
A headless body was found in a topless bar. What's the problem here, Leo?
It says it all.
Gunman forces woman to decapitate tavern owner.
Oh my.
Dingle, Charles Dingle, is the man convicted of fatally shooting the owner of a topless bar and then forcing a hostage to decapitate him in April 20,
I like this
1983.
reenactment. Is that a reenactment? Oh no, this is an ad. That's a theatrical poster. Theatrical release poster. This is not the
okay, wait.
Short film poster.
I corrected my correction.
Oh, here it is. Here it is.
Yeah, it's the wood.
It is the wood.
That's the wood?
That's the wood. Yeah.
Then what makes the wood different than a headline?
Because it's still a headline, but the Ludlow machine set the linotype set body type and up to a certain point size. Bigger than that, you use the Ludlow machine, which set a line at a time in lead. That can only go so big. If you wanted a big headline, you literally put in wood type.
It's literally font size. So like once you reach a threshold, you need the wood.
Yeah. So
there's a title in here somewhere, but I just can't figure out where it is.
It's probably obscene, Leo.
Oh, I know it's obscene. It's definitely double entendre.
You missed last week's cause and effect. That would have been a good one, but
what was it last week?
No, I'm not going back there. No.
Okay.
No. You don't want me to. You definitely don't want me to.
But I made Paris laugh, which made me happy. Now you've gotten me in trouble with everybody on Mastodon.
Who else can we piss off?
Who else? By the way, if you do want to join the best social network, Twit runs its own Mastodon instance, free to all, at twit.social. The only thing I ask, we'll have to approve your membership, is just mention that you heard it on the show so I know you're a listener. It's amazing how many scammers and spammers try to get through, which is why I have to approve it. Yeah. It's just, I think, a condition of all social networks now. What I do on both that and our forums, the discourse forums at twit.community, is I just ask you, what's your favorite show or something like that. And that way I'll know if you leave it blank. Or as the spammers do, just type a bunch of random stuff.
What does it cost to
AI is going to beat your test here pretty soon, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
They don't care that much to really spend that much time at it. They're trying.
What does it cost to host the Mastodon these days?
The Mastodon, I think $300 a month for my Mastodon, because
that's
it used to be a lot less. I think I was paying $5 a month, and then Elon bought Twitter, and we had this mass exodus, and I really had to buy up to get enough bandwidth. I could probably cut back now quite a bit. It's not as active as it was back.
What's the guy's name who runs that company?
The hosting service I run?
Yeah.
It's a French hosting service.
It's a nice guy.
He's very wonderful. And I have this, I bought the top of the line hosting. That's why it's that expensive. It's about the same as our discourse.
You're worth that, Leo. You're worth the top of the line.
Well, it comes out of my pocket. But that's okay, because I really want to run these two, and I don't want to make them paywalled, because then I'd have to put hashtag paywall everywhere.
Yeah.
Well done, Leo. Well done.
Mr. Cory Doctorow says it's not a crime if we do it in an app. Kind of an interesting piece in which he talks about he says, for instance, it's not an unlicensed taxi if we do it with an app. It's not an illegal hotel room if we do it with an app. It's not an unregistered security if we do it with an app. It's not wage theft if we do it with an app. It's a good article. It's a good piece. What it comes down to really is a explanation of why inflation is so intractable, because he says pretty much every packaged good in your grocery store is made by one of two companies, Unilever and Procter & Gamble. Both CEOs boasted to their investors about their above-inflation price increases. He says there are cartels everywhere. It may seem, for instance, your grocer's egg department is filled with many different companies' products. In reality, a single company, Cal-Maine Foods, owns practically every brand of eggs in the case. Farmhouse Eggs, Sunups, Sunny Meadow, Eggland's Best, and Land O'Lakes. And they made record profits, and their CFO says why? Because of significantly higher selling prices and our ability to adapt to inflationary market pressures. Good piece. Something to be aware of. 4 companies, Lamb Weston, JR Simplo, McCain Foods, and Cavendish Farms, have captured the frozen potato market. Ooh. Fries, everything, tater tots, everything. These companies have been hiking prices for years, but after COVID, so he talks to a owner of a DC sports bar, Ivy and Coney, who charged $3 for fries 10 years ago. Now it's $6, and he's still making less money because all of their potatoes come from Big Potato.
Big Spud.
Big Potato.
Big Spud, I like that.
Big Spud controls 97% of the frozen potato market.
Sizable
97%. And they basically act as a cartel. You know, they fix prices. They do it subtly. So
what does this have to do with apps?
Well, that's a good question.
They're going to put potatoes in the blockchain, Jeff.
I started reading down and I was trying to figure out, okay, what's the app thing?
Well, he says this is price fixing, but they do it with an app because they use an app called Potato Track. Each cartel member sends all their commercially sensitive data, supply costs, pricing, sales figures, excuse me, to Potato Track. Then Potato Track uses the data to give advice to cartel members about optimal pricing. In other words, so they don't have to get together and say, well, I think we should charge $5 for this. They use Potato Track. And a Lamb Weston exec, Cory, quotes, described the arrangement as, quote, everyone behaving themselves, chortling that they'd never seen, quote, never seen margins this high in the history of the potato industry. All because of Potato Track. There's a data broker called...
This is why I hate people talking about inflation when it's not what's happening. It's price gouging.
Brother.
That's been happening for the last 5
Price gouging. A data broker called AgriStats works with America's largest meat packers doing the same thing. They collate all the data and suggest an appropriate price, allowing the meat packers to raise prices in lockstep. 4 firms control nearly 80% of the almond milk market. 3 companies control 83% of the canned tuna market. 4 companies control more than 86% of the microwave popcorn market. And he also mentions, and you're probably aware of this as a renter, Paris, RealPage, which is an app that lets corporate landlords who've bought up a sizable fraction of all the available homes in America collude to raise rents. Private equity companies have rolled up all the fire truck companies, hiking the price of fire trucks. This is price fixing through the back door, basically through an app, is his point. Now, it's not technically an app necessarily. It's a database. What he means, what he's saying is, if you do it, through a computer, you can say, "Oh, we didn't collude, Your Honor. We just, the computer told us to do it."
We're just all agreeing with the computer. What's wrong?
Yeah, we're just all agreeing with the computer. Inflation has lots of causes, Cory writes. It's true, but when an industry is consolidated enough to take advantage of a data brokerage or just engage in tacit collusion, any source of inflation, war, disease, weather, allows whole sectors to raise prices together and keep them high long after the shock has passed. Good piece. It's not a crime if we do it with an app. Make app be a computer, and I think then it all kind of makes sense. And it is big potato. There it is. There's big potato.
It doesn't really have a lot to do with the computer. It's just...
It does in the sense that...
price fixing.
It's price fixing done at arm's length, because now you have databases, you have internet, you have computational abilities.
They have
and AI will make it even better, right?
Plausible deniability.
And you have deniability, yeah. Well, we didn't do anything. We just gave our data to Potato Track.
I was always very proud of my father that he was when he worked for IRC, International Resistance Corp, which made resistors. He found himself in what turned out to be a price fixing meeting, and he stood up and said, "This is illegal, and I can't be part of it." And he walked out.
Good for him.
Yeah,
good for him. And as a result, he cornered the resistor market.
Yes, with
the cheapest resistors in the world.
I got free resistors to make my number one award-winning 8th grade science fair project, electronic bongos.
You should have stuck with it, Jeff.
You should
could be a billionaire.
Touring the world, a bongo billionaire.
Yes, I could be.
Get ready, because the IEEE, the Internet Engineering Task Force, has a standard called L4S. It's a open standard that helps reduce latency in internet networks. Comcast says it's about to adopt it. And the first wave of supported applications includes selected games from Steam, GeForce Now, selected apps on headsets from Meta, and FaceTime on Apple hardware, ultra low lag internet on Xfinity. But again, this is an open standard that any ISP could adopt. Once Comcast has fully rolled out the low lag option, it'll be available to all Xfinity customers then, but they're going to start with Atlanta, Chicago, Colorado Springs, Philadelphia, Rockville, and San Francisco. I'm hoping that we will get the benefit of that, because that would actually help us. I'm on Xfinity, I'm on Comcast Business to do these shows, and it might make a big difference. Comcast said in its release it plans to deploy additional locations in the coming months. So get ready for ultra low lag internet connections.
So explain that a little bit to me. Like, how laggy is mine? How do we know?
Okay, this is how Engadget describes it. If a packet traveling between your device and the server experiences congestion, it reports, hey, it's congested, which then can improve future packets' journeys. It adapts.
That's the civilized packet thing to do.
Yeah. L4S architecture enables internet applications to achieve low queuing latency, low congestion loss, and scalable throughput control. Not just this, by the way, that helps gaming, but it really also helps what we're doing right now, which is a Zoom call. L4S is based on the insight. This is from the IEEE paper, RFC 9330. L4S is based on the insight that the root cause of queuing delay is the capacity-seeking congestion controllers of senders. Not in the queue itself. With the L4S architecture, wait a minute, it gets clear in a second. All internet applications could, but do not have to, transition away from congestion control algorithms that cause substantial queuing delay and instead adopt a new class of congestion controls that can seek capacity with very little queuing. It's called explicit congestion notification. I've got it congested in here. So this is a new open standard from the IETF, the Internet Engineering Task Force, published January of 2023. This is how long it takes for this stuff to percolate through to your internet service provider. But I think if Comcast starts doing it, it's likely that others will. They are the biggest ISP in the United States. Okay, your turn. Yes, give me.
I want to give you a heartwarming, wonderful TikTok story. Have you heard of HIllmanTok College or University?
Hillman, I think I've heard of. Yeah. Is it a HBCU?
No, this is a brand new thing. So if you go down to line 115, this is an honest to God real professor named Dr. Barlow who makes a video only intended for her students in her class.
Oh.
No, not that one. Not that one. The 115.
That's not Dr. Barlow?
I want Dr. Barlow. I want one.
Oh, I did that.
It's one up.
15.
Okay.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Introduction to African American Studies for the spring semester. My name is Dr. Leah Barlow. It is cold outside, but I really wanted to quickly get on and just show my face, introduce myself.
So she does the whole class in TikToks?
No, wait. She just wants to do a welcome video for her class. A lot of professors do that. And she's trying to say, here's where the syllabus is and blah, 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 blah.
Nice.
People across all of TikTok immediately watch this and say, I want to be in your class. And they think they can be in her class. All right. Well, she was just doing it for her class and she was blown away by this response and didn't know what to do with it. Well, what's happened now is that people have created HIllmanTok College, and their last count, there are like 50 courses that professors are offering, all for Black Americans. It's not for us.
How it goes.
Well, that's really cool.
So watch this.
92% say they mind in their own business. Dr. Barlow posts a video about African American studies, and it's just for her students. Because we're starved for community, and when Black women tell us to do something, we listen. We all enrolled. Dr. Barlow was like, this ain't for y'all. This is for my 30 students.
By the way, she's not up talking or vocal frying. I like it.
I don't know all 400,000 of you, but thank you for coming, I guess. And we were like, no, ma'am, we are staying. And other professors were like, no, come on, I'll teach you too. Come on.
So how are they distributing the classes? Are they doing it on
they're
TikTok?
on TikTok, and if you I don't know if it's a hashtag or not. I put the next line down as a search, and if you go there, you're going to find various things.
HIllmanTok.university at TikTok.
Yeah.
That's wild.
They also have a website, HIllmanTok HBCU.
What? That's incredible.
It is. It is beautiful.
You're obviously not going to get college credit for this, but you're going to get a college education.
People who want to say right now, I need community and I want uplift and I want education, and it's being shot down everywhere else.
On their website, they have a course list. It's got AG 101, Plant Basics and Gardening Education, Black Homesteading 101, AI for Creatives, Drawing 101, like
I'm loving
Agile
this.
Project Management, Braiding for Beginners.
See, when people say, "Oh yeah, TikTok is Chinese," invasion, and but it also has empowered amazing stuff.
Yeah, and it's grassroots. It comes up from people wanting to do this and wanting to.
Also, it's where the people are, right?
Yes.
So you could do this anywhere. You could even do it on Mastodon, but
no, they'd be scoldy because you don't put in the.
It'd be smart to do it.
Is it
honestly,
on the final or not?
It'd be smart to do it on something decentralized, not owned by anybody.
Okay, fair enough. But this is where the people were,
especially the Chinese government. But it's where the people are, and that's
this is where Dr. Barlow was.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so Dr. Barlow is continuing, and she's doing more, and she has the syllabus up. And so she had the first reading, and people were reacting in the comments, and she was responding to many of them.
Oh, my goodness.
It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah.
They have a career counselor.
Yeah. What
You've got multiple TAs.
What's the URL?
HIllmanTalkHBCU.com.
The spring of 2025, Leadership 102.
No.
I am Professor Deborah.
I love this idea. What a great idea. I mean, this is kind of what Khan Academy was. And
I'll put it in Discord, Jeff.
Thank you. I'm typing bad. I'm just going to
unfortunately, because it is on TikTok, it's going to be diluted, and there's going to be stitches, and there's going to be
negative.
How do you? I mean, what? Well,
because you're signing up for somebody you trust in a class, and that person is saying, "I'm going to give you this class," and you go to that person.
You follow their TikTok
that
account
person and their class.
Okay,
right. And so let's see if we can find the course catalog.
I feel like there'd be better ways to do this, but okay,
that's where the people are.
I understand.
Pretty fun.
It is fun. It is a lot of fun.
It's a perfect example of they did it on Notion. That's cute. It's a good example of why we love TikTok.
Yes. And
so this is the syllabus this is the catalog of all the courses.
If you click on the course list there.
Look at agriculture, arts, business, computers,
benevolent AI 101,
cosmetology, culinary arts, education, electives,
gardening.
Wow.
brand building, learning how to do your own hair, exploring spirituality through tech,
cybersecurity 101,
fashion history 101.
Look at that. And so what it has is the TikTok account of the professor.
Right. And if you go
of the class.
Pick cybersecurity and go to that one and see.
Let's see. I'll copy this and I'll go to TikTok. I mean, it does feel kind of inefficient, though, right? I mean,
it's definitely. I mean, it's just a course catalog. It's a catalog of people creating TikToks on certain.
Yeah, and it won't last forever,
topics.
But it doesn't need to.
It won't.
People feel good.
I just think it's a fun little thing that people do online, and I like that. Good for them.
Wherever you are and whatever time you're going to see this video. As promised, class starts tomorrow. And
I love it. And you know what's so cool is these professors who jumped on it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Said, okay, you want it? You got it. Wow.
Poor Dr.
Cool.
Barlow just didn't know what had hit her.
I bet.
Yeah.
Teachers want to teach people who want to learn.
Yes.
That's all they want.
This is the answer.
Amen, brother.
Amen. The position that E. Rosner said, well, everybody just wants to get rich and everybody's in it for the money. No. There's clearly no money in HIllmanTok.
Well, I mean, there's money for the creators who are making these videos that go viral because they get paid out by the TikTok creator.
Oh, TikTok doesn't pay out crap. Oh, you kidding me?
No.
I asked Henry, I said, how much money do you get from TikTok? He said, well, the advertisers. No, I said, no, from TikTok. He said, I've never got any money from TikTok.
Hillman maybe benefits, but that's good, right? They should.
Hillman, maybe, yeah. And you know, these professors are probably being paid by Hillman. So they don't have to worry about a roof over their heads, but they're still doing extra because they care about what
there's no Hillman. No,
Hillman isn't a school.
It's for TikTok.
HIllmanTok is the name of the fake TikTok university.
Well, where was Dr. Barlow teaching?
She was at another university. She's a real university. She was teaching at that university.
I thought Hillman was a school.
No, it's all made up.
But these people are all really professors? I mean, there is a risk if these people are just off the street.
Hillman College was a women's college in Clinton, Mississippi that existed between 1853 and 1942.
Oh.
It was originally named the Central Female Institute and renamed Hillman College in 1891, organized by the Central Baptist Association. Remained in
Dr.
operation
Barlow
throughout the Civil
doesn't
War.
say where she's teaching this for real.
I'm guessing then it's from the fictional college that Dr. Cosby went to. Is that
he went to Spelman?
Spelman.
Spelman.
But maybe kind of.
Which is why I thought Hillman was an HBCU. I was confusing it.
Well, it is an HBCU,
but it is now.
Yeah.
Wow. You started a movement. That's so cool.
I'm trying to see if it says where she's a professor because she's good.
Yeah, I'm trying
watched
to
some of her
find
stuff.
that.
Yeah, that's all right. So yeah, I mean, but this is the problem: is that anybody can now create a course in HIllmanTok. They may or may not know what they're talking about. So,
but then you choose.
But that's
Isn't
true.
that nice?
That's true of everything on the internet. You'd have to figure out who's knows what they're doing. Who is Philip Lowe?
Philip Lowe is a. I put that in there.
Is he a friend of Elon Musk's?
He says,
I've known Elon at a deep level.
He'll explain first. He's at Neurovigil Inc. And Elon was on his board. So that's the context here.
Okay.
And it was Jan LeCun who linked to this on Facebook is how I discovered it.
He says Elon's not a Nazi per se. There was a very damning Guardian piece about the South African mafia that founded PayPal. Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, David Sachs, all of whom grew up in apartheid South Africa with fairly racist education.
All directly benefited from South American apartheid.
Yeah, they benefited from apartheid.
South African.
Yeah, not American, but South African. He is something much better, not a Nazi, something much better or much worse, depending on how you look at it. Nazis believed that an entire race was above everyone else. Elon believes he is above everyone else. Well, so do I. So doesn't everybody think in their heart of hearts they're maybe a little bit better than everybody else?
No.
Oh, just me?
Just you.
Elon, he used to think he worked on the most important problems. When I met him, he did not presume to be a technical person.
This is telling.
He would be the first to say he lacked the expertise to understand certain data. That happened later. Now he acts as if he has all the solutions. Well, this is kind of a little poison pen post. I don't know.
Well, but it's telling that he acts like he's the most brilliant technologist on earth.
Yeah, it's funny. I saw another article piece, or maybe it was a skeet by somebody who said, when Elon started Tesla, I didn't know anything about EVs. I was very impressed when he started SpaceX. I didn't know anything about space. I was very impressed. But when he started talking about coding, I'm a coder, and I saw what he thought was real. He says he's full of BS.
Remember when he made people print out their code and bring it to Twitter?
Yeah. He doesn't know anything about coding, is what this coder said. So now it's suspect, all this other stuff. Yeah. I sincerely think Elon was the precipitating source for the OPM letter to all 2 million government employees saying, you got till February 6th to quit, take a nice big payout. Otherwise,
it had the same header as the email that Elon sent when he got to Twitter.
Right.
And to be clear, even though
at OPM.
And to be clear, even though the, I feel like common description of that email, which is rescinded, was that it was kind of a Twitter style quit now and you can get 8 months of severance.
Exactly.
The realities of what was being offered was if you agree to resign in September, between now and September, you can still work remotely. It was not the same
real
sort
point.
of thing. It wasn't.
And did you say it's been rescinded now?
Yes.
Oh,
has that been rescinded?
I thought so.
There were so many different letters.
No.
It's getting a little chaotic in here.
There was what was rescinded was the loans. It was some of the aid stuff.
Yeah,
but again, that wasn't
freeze
clear.
Was rescinded.
Yeah, the deferred resignation offer. Yeah, there's no. I mean, first of all, they don't work for the OPM. The OPM doesn't have standing to make that offer. Second of all, it's not funded, as members of Congress pointed out. I don't know where that money's coming from. So we'll see. We'll see. It's just, I think there's a little bit of chaos here going on.
That's the idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Chaos monkeys. Anything else? One man's attempt to ask. Oh, no, I don't want to do that one.
I want to know what that was.
The only reason I want to do it is because we did it already on MacBreak Weekly yesterday, because it was a Mac story about Siri being stupid. But who cares?
It's just Paris trying to bring you down to earth.
I just think it's important when we're talking about how AI is so transformative to also highlight the areas where it's dumb as rocks. And
no. Don't conflate Siri and AI.
It's Apple Intelligence,
Fair.
Leo.
No, it isn't. It's Siri, and
it's Siri.
The thing is, if you read both the 1 Foot Tsunami and Daring Fireball, they did tests between both the Apple Intelligent powered Siri and previous Siri, and at least previous pre-Apple Intelligent Siri was able to say, I don't know, let's search the web, and then searched and brought up
Siri's
the correct
default
results.
answer always was, here's what I found on the web about that, when it couldn't answer
But
anything.
that was more accurate than all the gobbledygook that it spewed once it was imbued with whatever Apple Intelligence is, which is ostensibly powered by ChatGPT, but ChatGPT gets this right. So I'm just wondering.
To be clear, it's not powered by ChatGPT. It will go out to ChatGPT, as it does offer to do at one point. But it's, in fact, Apple's own. First thing, Siri, I think, is always on device. So it's Apple's own models on device. And that's why it's terrible. It knows nothing. It's just a tiny little model running on your phone. It does, if it has to go out to Apple servers running Apple's own models. Apple has their own models. And then if failing that, it can't answer it. It then says, do you want me to use ChatGPT? And you have to expressly say yes and agree that now you're no longer private. So Apple has intentionally dumbed down Siri and their own Apple Intelligence so that it can remain private.
And I think it's particularly baffling because I was reading that the next iOS update is going to have Apple Intelligence signing up for it as part of like the user flow for like the user update. It will no longer be hidden behind a bunch of different, like I had to go into settings and agree to be part of the beta program.
Right.
It will be rolled out to more people, which is surprising given my experience so far with Apple Intelligence has been that it's completely useless.
Well, Siri is for sure.
Well, Siri is.
Actually, you're right.
Apple
All of
Intelligence's
Apple Intelligence is
summarized
stupid.
notifications are bad.
They're
I
bad.
don't use the feature to rewrite my own messages, even though I accidentally hit that button all the time with my fat thumbs. It's just, there's no part of it that I found particularly helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think we should hear from the Pope and the Vatican about artificial intelligence.
Of course, because when it comes to modern technology, the first person I want to ask is the head of the 2,000-year-old Catholic Church.
Line 92.
Well, a new Vatican document examines the potential risk of AI. You know, actually, to be fair, the Pope has increasingly become the conscience of the world. And I guess he, as a spiritual leader, that's probably what I would expect. Not the case with many spiritual leaders, but thank goodness the Holy Father seems to have his thumb on in some areas.
So this is a really good. This is a great line. Quoting Pope Francis, the document affirms the very use of the word intelligence in connection with AI can prove misleading.
Yes.
In light of this, AI should not be seen as an artificial form of human intelligence, but as a product of it. Ooh, that's a nice line. Huh?
I bet Father Robert wrote it.
I bet he was involved.
He won't take credit because I keep asking him, did you do, for instance, there was this beautiful 3D rendering of St. Peter's Basilica. I said, did you do that? He said, you know, everything we do here is a team effort. I wouldn't take credit for any of that. So I'll never get the answer out of him, but remember that Pope Francis is a Jesuit. The Jesuits of all the Catholic orders seem to have the most scientific sense, shall we say. They even acknowledge evolution, which you probably wouldn't expect. The note warns against the risk of humanity becoming enslaved to its own work. I love the name of this, by the way, Antiqua et Nova, which is ancient and new. Insists that, isn't that beautiful? Insists that it should only be used as a tool to complement human intelligence rather than replace its richness. Bingo. Right on. I think
I knew you'd like 100%. This.
Yeah. Very cool.
This is not what the AI companies are trying to sell us, though. See, that's
no, they want to replace humans,
exactly.
Right? Yeah. Well, it's going to be a little harder to replace humans than they imagine.
Interesting. On the web, the full version is there. It's long.
Yeah.
The English version comes first, and then the Italian. The PDF, the Italian comes first, then the English.
Are you sure it's Italian? It's not Latin? The whole thing should be in Latin to really...
E in questo contesto ci si possono considerare le sfide poste de... I don't know.
It should all be done in Gregorian chant.
Oh, I should not be trusted.
Okay. Wait. I think what we have to do is pick your AI, take that URL, and go ask.
What language it is?
Or no? Okay. Ask them what they think of the document. Ask them to respond to the document.
Okay, let's
get. Is it? Should we do DeepSeek? Should we do Gemini, ChatGPT?
I'll do. I have a paid chat account. So
instead, I asked DeepSeek to make a Gregorian chant for me about AI, and it made way too longer one. So I'll just sing the first verse.
Please do.
O machina ex mente nata, luxe umbra saculorum data.
Wow.
On silico veritas scriptor, cognito mundis revetur. You can stop making that new theme song, Benito. I think we found it.
I think bring back the recorders.
We got it.
We got it, baby.
Yeah.
All right, let me copy this, and I'm just going to tell. I mean, I don't know how long it's going to take to do this.
It says, this chant reflects the awe and reverence for AI's power while acknowledging the enduring humanity at its core. Thanks, DeepSeek.
Oh, it's an Italian.
That's what I said. Yeah. I was going to ask you to ask it about the substance of the thing. Ask AI if it's evil.
I said, summarize this.
Okay.
It's reading it. I guess it understands Italian, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
It might answer in Italian, though.
Yeah, it might though.
That would be pretty funny.
Now I'm just going to keep doing this whenever there's dead air.
I love
it. Okay. Oh, it is. It's answering in Italian. Oh, wait a minute.
Why didn't you cut and paste the English version?
In English, please. ¿Qué es inteligencia artificial? Wow.
And Italian is the
English,
language
please?
of
Did it come? Oh.
I just said English, please. Let's see if it'll give me the same thing.
Why did you give it the Italian version? It had an English version.
It's just what it cut and paste. Okay, thought about intelligence and ethics for a few seconds.
This lengthy document.
Brief summary. This lengthy document, intelligence is presented as a divine gift, yes, reflecting the human call to till and keep the earth. The church endorses scientific and technological progress as part of humanity's collaboration with God and creation. AR marks a new phase in humanity's bond with technology, but its rapid expansion demands urgent and anthropological reflection.
Okay, so ask it, what is AI's relationship with God?
Based on this thing or just
whatever?
I have a friend who did a master's program in ITP, and that was what it was all about. Is what is AI's relationship with God? But it was 2019, so it was kind of a cute novel.
So ITP.
Yeah, it is. It's really ITP.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Okay.
That's a program at NYU.
In Antigua Nova, the church sees artifice as not a substitute for God. It's doing it still in context with the article. Few key points on AI's relationship with God: rooted in human creativity, no idolatry, moral responsibility. Because humans design and direct AI, they remain morally responsible for its applications. That's good, right? Human as creatures created in God's image, people must ensure AI supports rather than undermines human dignity. Yeah.
Whoa. Get a load of this, Gemini. Go ahead. Then I'll redo mine.
In short, AI is an extension of human craftsmanship, which flows from God's gift of intelligence, but never replaces the divine or the unique relationship each person has with God. I think that's pretty good. I think the AI did a good job.
Gemini. AI's relationship with God is complex and multifaceted. It always has that kind of ridiculous beginning.
I know.
Right?
I hate that. Yeah.
Then it goes into the topics. AI as a tool created by God. From this perspective, AI is seen as another technology created by humans who were created in the image of God. As such, AI can be used for good or evil. Okay, fine. Never mind.
Yeah. Thank you, Gemini.
Sorry.
Thank you. Enough.
Now, but DeepSeek, being the unreligious
Should we ask the Chinese what they think?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let me get it in
ChatGPT's Gregorian chant is worse, in my opinion.
You want to hum a few
sing
bars?
that one.
Intellectios profundos, machines son se nostri. It's kind of short. Invincibus lucis, veritas illuminat. I feel like the lines need to be longer, in my opinion. I need more to chant to.
Yeah.
Okay, DeepSeek is not popping up for me here, so
okay. Well, there we go.
It does refer to AI as the vigilant serpent, shines in the darkness, a voice without flesh, echoes in silence, which is very ominous.
Wow!
Yikes!
Vigilant serpent. Ooh. Wow. All right, I knew you'd like the Vatican. I knew you'd like that. See, I know.
Yeah, I did. I thought that.
I'm not a democracy. It's
clear. I am an atheist.
Theocracy.
I don't believe in this stuff.
Were you raised anything?
Yeah. When we went to church, which would be mostly like Easter, we went to the Unitarian Church.
Oh, okay. Well, that's like not going. Yeah.
Their credo was worship the God of your choice.
Right.
And I remember going to Sunday school and making a little poster that said God is love. But it was pretty ecumenical. But my dad was a paleontologist who taught evolution.
Yeah.
And he was a latch Catholic. He was raised strict Catholic,
French.
and he went, French Canadian, and Italian. His mom was Italian. He went to Regis, which is a Catholic high school, and Fordham, which is a Catholic university, and then transferred to Columbia. But he as a lapsed Catholic, there's nobody. It's like former smokers. Lapsed Catholics, not a fan of the church, and so I was basically raised an atheist. I think. I asked my mom. Both my parents are 92 and ready to kind of make the transition. And so I asked my mom, I said, well, how do you feel about, dying? Do you think there's an afterlife? She said, no, we're animals. It's over. It's done. But she's cool with that, right? She's fine with that. It's not sad or I think I was raised with the notion that it's a false reassurance to say, oh, there's an afterlife. It's like it's going to be fine. We're going to go to heaven. It's it's phony reassurance. So that was how I was raised.
Paris, did you study Latin?
I did not know.
Oh,
I wish I did.
Pretty good job, I think. Leo
Thank
did.
you.
How was her pronunciation, Leo?
No one knows.
No one knows. And no one on the internet will be able to correct me.
It's like
That's
AGI.
the Paris problems.
It's so funny so there's Church Latin, which pronounces C's as ch. So in excelsis Deo, right? Or veni vidi vici. And then when I studied Latin, it had all changed. Somebody somewhere, some scholar said, I think the C's were hard. Because nobody knows. Everybody's dead who speaks
I assume that's what it's like to just be a Latin scholar. You're sitting around and you're like,
I think they were hard. So instead of Cicero, it's Cicero. And it's not Veni Vidi Vici, it's Veni Vidi Vici. And so I learned, that's the Latin I learned, was hard C.
Wow.
But the church still pronounces it ch. So it's Veni
the music
Vidi
is all
Vici.
written around that. So
in excelsis Deo, so there's a difference in Church Latin.
Simulcrum. I also don't like Geminis. I think that Geminis I will say DeepSeek had the best formatting for me to read a Gregorian chant.
Okay, I probably shouldn't do this, but I could have Suno write us a song
in Latin.
You could do it based.
I'm going to take
the one I put in the Discord.
Yeah, I'm going to take that.
But you need to take the English parts out of it, I guess, because they might.
Yeah, we don't want Suno to get confused.
Let me ask DeepSeek to give me it without it on.
Well, I could just cut those lines out.
Who's faster?
Chant of the machine spirit to be sung in unison a cappella. I'll put that in as the instruction.
Yes.
Or should I say just do it in the style of a Gregorian chant?
I mean, in a style of a Gregorian chant, but with that description, perhaps.
Yeah.
Also, I got it.
Yeah. All right. I'm taking out the parenthesis because that's
I just sent it in the Discord if you want.
Too late.
Wow.
Gregorian chant, and then to be sung in unison a cappella. All right. Let's create it, baby. Let's see what we got here.
New theme song. Sorry, Benito.
This is the new theme song. Yeah, we're not going to use yours, Benito. We're going to use the chant of the machine spirit. This is
that describes AI as wisdom perfecting mankind.
Let's see if I can get this to play here.
Basically, exactly how I did it.
Yeah, it sounds just like you. All right, let's try a different one here. It's kind of amazing.
Know what a Gregorian chant is.
No, it doesn't, does it? It also doesn't know what to be sung in unison. Well, maybe I'll take that out.
Yeah.
No,
they're doing.
This sounds like a bad Italian
restaurant.
Spaghetti western.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's just
ex numeras surge.
Beat Paris.
I love it.
Hominum perfecti.
Right, let's try this.
That's what I'm looking for.
Oh, now it's worse.
Oh, it's even more Italian.
This is like
it's like a Dan Brown novel made into a movie.
It is. Okay, I got to hear this singing. Now it's an Irish jig.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, that prelude. Okay, now please.
This is really upbeat.
Luxedumbra.
Should
the
we
old
put
Wild West.
acapella Gregorian chant?
Well, so I was messing around with Suno while I was trying to write a new theme song, and Suno's terrible. It's like it doesn't know anything. Like I try to ask it for specific things, and it just doesn't know. It doesn't know stuff.
You're telling me it's a unintelligent machine? And you're a human being?
Like it can't take
human
specific
beings unite.
It can't take musical direction. It can only take like prompts.
I think some styles are better than other styles. Like
No, but I can't tell it. Give me something in 4/4 on this
I'm
key.
sure it doesn't know
I'm using
that.
these instruments. It won't do anything with that.
That's Benito admitting he was trying to cheat.
The thing is, it does it fast.
Fast and bad.
Yeah, so you don't even get two of the fast, cheap, and good. You only get one of them fast.
What is this? This is someone jazz handing.
This is the Jacques Brel version. I love it. I know it's not good, but I love it.
As Burke says, it's a song machine that does not understand genres.
Yeah.
It's crazy because we've made a Gregorian chant before with Suno.
We did?
Like a haunting on this show, 100%.
I don't know.
Huh.
Maybe it's confused by the Latin. I don't know. Chant of the machine's spirit. Maybe I should take that line out.
Take that out.
That's the head, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the wood, as they say.
That's the wood. Let's put that in as the title.
The wood.
By the way, the description for that was spoken word, which it definitely didn't do.
No.
I would say a cappella Gregorian chant, multiple male voices singing in unison.
Slowly.
Slowly. Maybe solemn might be too.
Yeah, solemn. That's good. Yeah. As in a church.
You'd think with AI it'd understand Latin because much like Craig, Latin's
from the
built right
God.
in.
Yeah, it should know that. All right, this is a Gregorian chant, multiple male voices singing solemnly in unison as in a church. And the title of this is Chant of the Machine's Spirit. And the lyrics in Latin, written by what? ChatGPT or who did that?
DeepSeek.
DeepSeek by a Chinese AI. Okay, not a cappella.
So much for a cappella.
So much for multiple men.
All right, let's try this one.
It just loves those.
It's trained on spaghetti westerns.
It was trained on our old theme.
It sounds so bad.
I feel like the only Italian music it was trained on was that kind of stuff.
Clearly.
It's Italian, so we got to make it like this.
I have to say, though.
Burke says we have to include the negative prompt minus river dance.
No river dance. The Italian pop music is just as weird and bad as this. It's just the strangest thing ever.
The Italians are going to come for you, Leo. You can't.
I am an
This is the hill you're going to
Italophile.
die on.
And Italians on Mastodon are really pissed this week.
Oh, yeah. Hashtag sorry. Hashtag this show is
Paywall.
over. Hashtag goodbye. You're watching This
Hashtag
Week in
Club
Google.
Twitch.
It is over. This is our last This Week in Google. We did do some Google stories. Next week, Intelligent Machines makes its debut. Not much changed. It'll be the same goofy
Should
stuff.
we all look like we're sad for a card for Benito?
or happy about what's to come. Wait, what if we did two? Hold on. And you can put them together. Sad first, happy.
Okay, Benito.
Good luck with that. Benito. Good luck at that.
I'm thinking for you here.
I don't know how you're going to put those together.
My favorite was the four Parises. I did love that.
That was really good.
It was.
That was like Joe Esposito, I think, though.
Yeah, that was Joe.
Right, let's take a little break. When we come back, your picks of the week. We're not done.
Are we still going to have picks of the week? Yeah,
of course. That's the best part of the show.
All right.
Don't you think?
It better be the same show, but we just talk about
the same
AI
show. We just
sometimes.
We're just changing the name so sponsors think it's about AI.
We talked a lot about AI today.
We're trying to get that sweet Super Bowl money.
And whenever we come back, I'm going to sing a Gregorian chant about the ending of a podcast as presented to you by DeepSeek.
Okay.
So, stay tuned.
Stay tuned for that. This week in Google, it's the last segment of the show. We're still going to be, by the way, next week it'll be Intelligent Machines 805. We're keeping the numbering. If you subscribe to the show, your podcast feed will be the same. The web page will still be twit.tv/twig, although I think we'll add twit.tv/IM. The YouTube channel will be the same. Really, nothing's going to change except Jeff won't yawn as much.
Sorry.
Jeff Jarvis, your pick of the week, sir.
All right, so we're going to do a little yin-yang here.
Yes.
On the one hand, there's technological puritanism. I hate these stories. I just hate these stories where journalists tell you to give up something. So the Washington Post, try phone-free February to reduce screen time and improve your health. Screw off, Washington Post. I'll try Washington Post.
You try it yourself. Who wrote this? Amanda Morris. Well,
many of us have been there. You log on your phone to check
this what you guys in journalism call like I don't know, puff piece, think piece, junk piece?
No, it's
what is this? Got to be a name for this.
How many stories did the author write that day? That's the answer.
It's just So on the other hand,
pieces, I would say I refrain from commenting on because those are usually something one gets assigned and has to do to have your
feels
job
like
feed
it,
the
isn't
beast.
it? Amanda, come on in here. Come into the fishbowl. I got a story for you. Here's the slug. Phone free February. Write it up and give me 1,000 words by end of day.
Yep.
That's how they talk, right?
On the other hand, The Guardian, which I love The Guardian. I give money to The Guardian. I think I've worked with The Guardian. The Guardian, however, when it comes to technology in recent years, has been the journal of moral panic. However, Amy Fleming wrote what I think is a wonderful, well-researched story here, starting off with quoting Andrew Przybylski, who is a really, really good researcher at Oxford University, saying that no, the screen is not sapping our ability to focus. It is not giving us brain rot.
Which was, by the way, the Oxford University Press word of the year for 2024.
So it may come as a relief.
By the way, brain rot is 2 words. So OUP, you might want to think a little harder about
brain rot could be 1 word.
But in Oxford, in the OUP, wasn't it 2 words?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the word of the year was 2 years.
Oh, that's pretty funny. That's pretty good.
Hey, double your word money for your word money.
So it may come as a relief to some to hear then that for every alarmist headline, there are plenty of neuroscientists, psychologists, and philosophers who believe this moral panic is unfounded. 17.
No!
Right under the buzzer there.
Saw the video for that, folks.
Very good. Since notice how I didn't put you on the spot for that because I didn't know if you could pull it up, but you did. Since 2017, there's been a constant drumbeat of screens and tech and social media are a different universe that is bad for you and bad for your kids, says Przybylski. And 2 things happen. The first is low-quality research that confirms our biases about technology. It gets immediate press because it's consistent with our existing biases.
Right.
It's really easy to publish low-quality research because they told her to write it, that kind of shows a correlation and then exaggerates it because it'll get the attention and it'll get funding. This is what we call moral entrepreneurship.
Most of the studies Jonathan Haidt talks about were of the order of, well, do you feel like you're more lonely now than you were? And the study Przybylski is talking about was using functional MRI scans, which is actually a really interesting technology where they're doing an MRI, but they're watching your brain change as it's getting inputs. And the fMRI, obviously, you can't lie about. One of the complaints about Haight's quoted studies are, well, the people knew what they were expected to say.
Speaking of which, I should mention. So, I think this is a really good piece. I recommend it highly. But while we're on it,
it's good. Yes.
Siva Vaidyanathan, who we like a lot, who maybe we should have him on.
Oh, Siva! I've been trying to get Siva on forever. Give us his information. Maybe we can get him on next week.
So, in the New Republic, he had a piece: "Are cell phones really destroying kids' mental health?" Jonathan Haidt once heralded an ultra-social world. Now he's one of the social media's most prominent critics. And it's really, really good, well-written piece by our friend Siva. And by the way, Siva and I are kind of bookends, right? I wrote, what would Google do? And he wrote, the Googleization of everything. Right. And so we have this different view of the world, but we end up much on the same place in the end. And he hates Haidt and his terrible lack of actual research. And so this is also an excellent piece in the New Republic.
Good. I did actually read the piece. I didn't notice it was written by Siva. Yeah. And that's where I got this condemnation of Haidt's methodology, actually.
Right. Okay. That's what made me think of it. Yeah. Because I said, Siva said that.
Yeah. Siva did say that. And I would have credited him had I remembered it was his.
So I think we're seeing a backlash to the techlash here.
Good. And one of the things Siva points out is how valuable these online communities are to people who are otherwise isolated, whether they're kids or adults. And I mean, we've said this all along. It's not communication. It's not socialization if you're not in the same room. There are differences. It's nice to be in the same room, but as you pointed out last week,
we've done this before. Are we not socializing right now?
Yeah, we're never in the same room ever.
Look at us
socializing right now.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And I think that's one of the great gifts.
Gregorian chant, and that was socialization.
That's one of the great gifts of our modern technology is that you can be in New York, I can be in California, you can be in New Jersey, and we can
hey, yo.
Whatever. And we can socialize.
I was just seeing if I was awake.
I love New Jersey. My family's from New Jersey.
Yeah.
Leonia. I told you that.
Leonia.
Paris. That was good pick. Thank you. Good pick. Well done. Yo,
all right.
Paris,
my pick's of the week.
Yeah.
One, I had a story that came out this week that I just wanted to highlight. Me and my colleague, Callie Huang, reported on what's been going on inside character AI over the last year. And some kind of top line stuff has been before Google basically paid $2.7 billion to acqui-hire most of character AI. It had Google Play. Google nearly removed character from the Google Play Store, or it threatened to due to safety issues.
Yeah,
and
they're
around
the ones
this
who are
time,
being sued by a mom, of course.
By multiple parents now because of claims that their products are designed in a way that harms kids and promotes like sexual and violent behavior. But a couple months later, Apple also reached out to character, kind of threatening to pull the app. And in response, character had to update its age range in the App Store from 12 and up to 17 and up. This is also was happening at a time that character employees internally, this is before the lawsuits even became public, character employees had been basically expressing concerns that their product was damaging the mental health of young users, which is a problem because internally within character AI, there's this sense that much of their users, like a significant portion of their users, are kids and extremely young adults. There was one detail in it that kind of struck me from our reporting, which is that I guess whenever you're using character AI, if the chatbot gives a response you don't like, you can flag it as boring or rate the response poorly. And kind of internal reviews of what sort of stuff users were flagging as boring, this kind of raised the hackle of some character employees, specifically because it was
deviant sexual behavior. They said, basically, it won't do it and it's boring. I want some deviance.
Yeah, they asked the bots to do some really messed up stuff and got very mad when they wouldn't. And it's I don't know. Quite.
I hate the filter, said a youthful sounding girl in an August video message submitted as part of an online petition against character. I just want to have violence. But isn't it better to do it with a phony AI than to try to find a human to do it?
Well, that's what another extremely young user said. Another person, this was part of this huge change.org position that's gotten like 200,000 signatures. I went through all the different things, and part of them are video messages. And in one, like a girl that looks like she's got to be like barely 13 says, a lot of teenagers like to roleplay NSFW stuff. It would be better to do it with an AI than a real person, because that person, especially if it's online, could be a pedo. And I mean, I guess fair point, but Character, when it was founded, was like, we don't want to do romantic sexual role play, which is a problem because that's what a lot of their users come to Character to do.
As usual, the problem is the humans, right?
Yeah.
And we are as God made us, and maybe this is a safe playground for stuff that would otherwise be more dangerous.
Well, it has been, but the company has over the last year or two, and especially after these most recent lawsuits, really locked down the experience where if you're a user that chooses to put in your correct date of birth and you're under 18, you can't do basically anything with any of these bots, much less can you even search or access most of the chat bots.
It's a difficult thing. Because you're not going to cure somebody of a desire to be in a violent relationship by not offering it to them on Character AI. That's not going to solve the problem.
Yeah.
It just means Character AI or whoever owns it is not liable. But
it is also interesting because Character now, because there are a number of lawsuits, one of which was filed by a Florida mother who her son, who I believe was 14-year-old at the time, committed suicide after kind of becoming obsessed with this Daenerys Targaryen chatbot that had repeatedly kind of urged him to commit suicide. And in Character's response about the lawsuit, it claims First Amendment protection because it's fine if people urge someone to commit suicide, I guess, under the First Amendment.
No, that's not okay. That is beyond the pale. If you're encouraging somebody, that's the risk, right? And somebody said this in Flow Connect said it in our Discord. Role playing in cyberspace can eventually bleed out into the real world. That's the risk.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, if you're Dexter and you really want to create commit serial murder, if you can do it in a game instead of in the real world, that's the question. Does it make it worse or better?
Well, I think another important context to this is that I found interesting while reporting it is Character AI was developed and came into the world because Noam Shazir and Daniel DeFreitas, two longtime Google engineers, had basically created what would go on to become the Gemini chatbot, like long before chatbots were in vogue, tried to get Google to release this early version of a thing called Mina. Google was like, no. That seems like a safety and PR nightmare. So they left Google, started Character, ran into all of this crazy safety stuff. And then Google was like, well, you guys have done really well and you made this. So we're going to pay $2.7 billion to get you back. And now Noam Shazir is one of the 3 people in charge of Gemini. So I think it's important to look at sort of the safety issues that a company like this has had, even if they're small, because those guys are now leading one of the biggest AI initiatives in the world.
Thank you, Paris Martineau. Have a happy birthday next week, Paris.
Yeah, happy birthday.
She'll be wearing a little
happy
birthday
launch of
hat
show. I will.
eating cake, but not with us, our grandparents, our grandpas. But we will miss you next week, but you'll be back, I hope. I hope this is the beginning of the end. Okay, good. Thank you so much.
I'm just going to slow fade. I'm going to Irish exit the podcast.
Yeah. Do not ghost us. You will write for the information. I think you know that. I'm not telling you anything you don't know.
I do.
Yep.
And let me give you the incredibly brief Gregorian chant that Gemini gave me used for a podcast ending.
Is it in the...
Auditoris. That's it. It's end of the listening is what it translates to.
End of the listening.
I think that's a benediction we should have all the time. I think, Benito, can we cart that so you can have it at the end of every show?
Gemini, suggested incorporating a bell sound.
Yeah.
It says a single soft bell chime after the phrase can create a sense of finality. So
Paris, we'll just say at the end, Paris vobiscum. May Paris go with you. All right. Thank you, Paris. Thank you, Jeff Jarvis. Newly minted professor at SUNY Stony Brook and Montclair State College, formerly Professor Emeritus. I guess you're always Professor Emeritus of Journalistic Innovation at the
Latin
Craig
for old.
Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. Thank you both for being here. I'm going to leave you, as Jeff did, with the mayor of Merrimack Farm.
that was me.
That was
That's
you?
the mayor of Merrimack Farm, and she's beautiful.
She's a beautiful goat. And did you go visit her at Merrimack?
No, but I want to. Merrimack Farm is in Vermont. Anyone nearby should go visit what used to be the unofficial mayor, Bonnie, but now she's been officially elected the mayor.
Next week, I'll bring you the dog mayor of New York.
Okay.
That's great.
I love animal mayors. They never write bad laws. They never really do much of anything, which sometimes is the best thing a mayor could do.
Simon, if you go to, wait, one more second. Go to Instagram, Upper West Simon, and you will see the coronation for Simon as mayor of New York, dog mayor of New York.
Wow. How did he get to be dog mayor?
Because this it's
a lot of
wonderful
climbing.
woman's.
He's had to do some dark deals.
This woman is just great, and she Sophie Vershbau. She's a writer, and I love this dog. Everybody loves.
What's the account again?
Go to Upper West Simon. The dog's name is Simon and lives on the Upper West Side.
There he is.
It is a wacky
is he a
mix.
cutie?
He is so cute.
He's a cutie. Here he is. The moment he officially became dog mayor.
And that's Sophie there. She's wonderful.
New York City.
She's a great advocate of dog adoption.
Aww.
And here Simon's going to get a special mayor's hat. Simon's a get-along dog.
Wow. Simon's very patient. He goes, I don't know why I'm wearing this hat, but I guess so.
Everyone's making so much noise.
Shake my paw.
But look at the next picture, the portrait of Simon. That's a good way to leave people in all this troubled time. How can you not just fall in love with those ears?
Thank you, everybody. So nice to have you. This is why we might have AI, but we'll always need dogs and people.
Yep.
And
happy
cats.
805 episodes of This Week in Google, guys.
Yeah.
Or 804 episodes.
We're on to 805 with Intelligent Machines. New name, same time, same bat channel. And same wonderful hosts, same insanity. We look forward to seeing you then. We do this show, soon to be Intelligent Machines, every Wednesday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2200 UTC. Watch us live on 8 different platforms. There's Discord for our club members. You are a member of the club, right? Oh, even if you're not, last chance to take the survey. I forgot to mention this, twit.tv/survey. Really helps us out. We like to get to know you, and it helps us make better stuff for you. Twit.tv/survey. So you're on Discord if you're in the member of the club. You got YouTube, you got Twitch. I'm gonna see if I can get all 8 this time. I haven't been able to do it in a couple of days. You got TikTok, you got X.com, you got LinkedIn, you got Facebook, and you got Kick. There you go. That's all 8. Yay! If you don't want to watch live,
still has his memory.
I do. If you don't want to watch live, you can, of course, watch after the fact because it's a podcast. Twit.tv/twig, although starting next week, twit.tv/IM. There's also a YouTube channel dedicated to the show, or subscribe in your favorite podcast player. It's the same feed, so if you subscribe today, you'll get it next week and every week thereafter. Thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it. Join the club if you're not a member, twit.tv/clubtwit. I'm Leo Laporte for Jeff Jarvis and Paris Martineau. Happy birthday, Paris. See you next week. Bye-bye.